Chapter 462. Happiness. Widow's son stopped her complaining and waited to see the show. However, 2 days later, Xianxia set the trap in the mountains and caught a wild boar weighing almost 200 kilograms, shocking the whole village. Widow's son got so sour. What kind of luck was that? The first section of the family was so glad. They hired someone from the village to get the wild boar back, and shared several kilos with the helpers. They made a sumptuous lunch for them to enjoy where they could eat as much meat as they could. They could even pack and take the leftover home. Everyone was so happy about it. The second and third section of the family were given only 5 kilograms each respectively. Ms. Niu had thought that they would be given at least 50 kilograms, so they were shocked when seeing what they received. Ms. Fang did not care about their displeasure. She smiled. We need to make smoked meat, and soon we will be taking gifts back to our natal families, especially the Chow family. A decent amount has been given to you. When we get rich, you will get more. Those who were given meat from the first section of the family all nodded at this, saying that it was right. You are living separately, and that is all you should get. True. Xiao Erlang and Xiao Xilang helped too, and they both got 4 kilograms respectively. Now you have 5 kilograms more. That is already a lot to be given to a cousin. I would have been so glad if my cousins did this for me. Some smart ones, when seeing the first section of the family living a better life, defended the first section of the family, hoping that one day they could get some help from them. All they needed to do was to defend them verbally. Widow's son and some others wanted to turn the family against each other, but they did not dare to. By the end, everyone was defending the first section of the family. Eldest uncle did not dare to counter his wife in public, so he had to pretend as if he did not catch the helping look his brothers threw to him. His brothers got so annoyed. Things were different now. A short while later, second uncle sneered. Eldest sister-in-law, you are looking down at us. Let's just wait and see. You should never come and beg us for help when you need it. Miss Fang laughed. We won't. If we need help, we will try to come up with solutions ourselves. After all, we all have a life to live, and we can't just turn to others for help all the time. We are all people who can work and live well. Everyone nodded in agreement. Second uncle got even more annoyed after hearing this. He left the place with a sunken face. Miss Fang felt so happy to have vented her anger in this way. When the crowd was gone, Miss Fang, together with her daughters-in-law and sons, started to salt the wild boar meat and clean the yard. Soon she proposed. What about preparing the things to be taken to your mother's families? We have enough time. Miss Su nodded in agreement. Miss Fang said, how about Miss Su and I go home tomorrow and Miss Chow the day after? What about you, Ms. Yang? Yang Xiaoni said indifferently, Mom, we will go and pay tribute to my deceased parents at their tombs after Minor New Year. Miss Fang did not object. Okay, whichever you like. Xiao Xian agreed to go to the Chow family the day after tomorrow. But she was not going to bring wild boar meat or any other precious things. She smiled at Miss Fang. Mom, don't save me a portion of wild boar meat. We only need 2 chickens, 1 basket of eggs, and a few pastries bought from the street. Chapter 463. Unexpected guest. She did not want the Chow family to know what she had at her home. Chickens and eggs were okay because villagers always had some chickens at home. Miss Fang had already learned how Xiao Xian's life was at her own home, so she somehow disliked her parents. Hence, she nodded at Xiao Xian's suggestion. She smiled. Sure, then I will give you 20 liang like I did last time, and you can do whatever you want. Xiao Xian thanked her and said, I will give the remaining amount back to you, Mom. Miss Fang laughed. Just add it to your own savings. Yunduan needs money, and the expenses can be counted from the shared savings. After all, when Yunduan becomes successful in the future, he will take care of his brothers. They can take care of him now. Xiao Xian did not counter that, but nodded in agreement, smiling. Her mother-in-law was such a nice lady. So Miss Fang and Miss Su prepared their stuff. They had smoked meat, sausages, fish and ducks with them, as well as 10 kilograms of wild boar for each family as 2 jars of wine. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao also picked 2 baskets of fresh mushrooms for them to take along. The Yuezhing family had given a few melon seeds, peanuts, pine nuts, preserved fruit, peanut candy, walnut candy, osmanthus cakes, some of which were also put in their luggage. If either of them needed to add something, they could buy the things with their own money. Miss Su picked 3 garments, a few folk flowers and 2 bags of needles and threads. Apart from this, she was going to offer 4 liang to her mother. On the day when they left, Miss Su dressed up her children whilst she herself had a silver hairpin on top of her hair as well. She was dressed in new clothes and left together with Miss Fang, eldest uncle and Tao Tao. They had a donkey cart and did not need to walk anymore. Xiao Sanlang was driving the cart. He dropped Miss Su and Xiao Dalong and then Miss Fang. Ms. Zu's home was located in a village which wasn't big enough for the donkey cart to get in. They still needed to walk a few miles, but that already was much more convenient than before. Xiao Sanlang spent one night with Miss Fang at his grandparents' place, and returned home the next day. Then he picked up Miss Su and her family so they could head home together. When they were gone, the house seemed so quiet. Especially since the two children were not at home making some noise. They had nothing else to do but think about what to eat. Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian were talking about how to make the clay pot rice, which Xiao Xian had decided to make for dinner. Xiao Xiaoqi offered to help too. Yang Xiaoni was proficient in making the preparations. She washed the pot and she prepared the fire and stove. Xiao Xian picked some cabbage and garlic sprouts from the garden. When the clay pot rice was almost cooked, she spread the sliced sausage and smoked duck on top, poured over the prepared sauce, added the blanched lettuce and sprinkled the chopped garlic leaves when it was almost ready. A delicious and wonderful portion of clay pot rice would be served. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni chatted happily in the open, bright kitchen. When the clay pot rice was just on the stove and the side dishes were about to be put in, a very loud female voice arose at the door. "Where is everyone?" Xiao Xiaoqi shouted loudly. "Cousin, third sister-in-law and fifth sister-in-law are cooking in the kitchen." She wasn't that glad when he made the announcement. "Cousin?" Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian exchanged a look. Xiao Xian thought for a while and said, "Xiao Meiji, I believe? The daughter of third uncle. She might have gone to her parents' house to deliver presents." Yang Xiaoni pursed her lips. "She isn't very nice. She was not here at our wedding. Did she come over when you got married?" Chapter 464. No idea. Xiao Xian shook her head. "Don't think so. Never heard of her before." Yang Xiaoni tooted. "Wonder what she is doing here?" Xiao Xian chuckled. "No idea, let's go and check it out." "Okay." The two walked out of the kitchen and saw Xiao Meiji and Xiao Xiaoji standing in the main hall. Xiao Xiaoji had been here before, but Xiao Meiji looked so greedy as she looked around. She sized both Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian up from head to feet, rolling her eyes and sat down on the chair. "So you are Miss Xiao and Ms. Yang? Serve me some tea and melon seeds. I am your relative, so I don't care about your foolishness. Shame on you that you don't know how to serve people." Xiao Xiaoji sneered too. Xiao Xian looked confused and blinked. "Third sister-in-law, who is this woman coming to our home to show off? What is wrong with her?" Yang Xiaoni laughed. "I don't know who it is, but she seems to think that this is her home. Tut tut, how shameless." Xiao Xiaoji threw them a weird look. "This is my elder sister." Xiao Meiji shouted loudly. "What are you talking about?" Before Xiao Meiji got married, the first section of the family had no standing in front of the second and third section of the family. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma kept bad-mouthing the first section of the family. Xiao Meiji had heard a lot of stories and watched a lot of shows, so she never thought that the first section of the family was worth much. In her eyes, she believed that her family was better than the first section of the family, who were just their laborers. She was living at Jianghu village, very far from Xiaoding village. The distance would require a whole day trip. But that was not very far after all. Xiao Meiji said that it was too far for her to go home, so she only came over before or after Chinese New Year every year, not otherwise. She did not want to give red packets to Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni when they got married, so she ignored the invitations. But when she came home this time, she heard about Ms. Ma and Xiao Xiaotis cribbing about the first section of the family. Xiao Meiji got so annoyed that she wanted to teach them a lesson. Since this day, eldest uncle Ms. Fang and even Xiao Dalong, Ms. Su and Xiao Sanlang were all gone, Xiao Meiji decided to teach the others a lesson. Xiao Xiaoji led her here. But she did not believe that the first section of the family would have built a really big house. Villagers always saved some money for a new house, and that was not a rare thing. Yes, they had a new house, so what? But when they came to the yard of the first section of the family, Xiao Meiji felt jealousy burning inside her heart. How ridiculous. Then she turned furious. Where did the first section of the family get this much money? They built a new house but never helped their family. How dare eldest uncle keep saying that he would take care of the second and third section of the family all the time? They were all liars. Xiao Meiji finally understood why her mother and sister were so angry. She pushed the door open and walked into the yard. Xiao Meiji felt more than sour. She was shocked. As she walked into the main hall and saw the fresh furniture as well as beautiful, crystal-clear glazed windows, Xiao Meiji wished that she had them all for herself. Note, she is just a small role only in the story for a few chapters. Chapter 465. My sister Xiao Meiji made up her mind that she was going to teach these two newly wedded daughters-in-law an unforgettable lesson. She was going to tell her eldest uncle about what she wanted. She was going to force the eldest uncle to give her everything she wanted. That was what she used to do earlier. However, Qiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni did not care about her at all. They sneered at the woman in front of them. Xiao Meiji got so annoyed. Hearing what Xiao Meiji asked, Qiao Xian smiled. "We don't know you." Yang Xiaoni said, "Who are you? Why are you making a fuss at our home? How ridiculous. How dare you?" Xiao Xiaoji shouted. "She is my sister, my elder sister." Yang Xiaoni said, "We don't know your sister, nor is she a part of our family." Xiao Meiji was almost speechless. "How dare you treat me like this? I am going to tell eldest uncle about it when he comes back. He will teach all of you a lesson." Qiao Xian said coldly, "Be my guest, we will wait and see. You are the crazy one that comes to our home and makes a scene. Shame on you for reporting us. Are you more noble than anyone else?" Yang Xiaoni sized her up roughly. "So, you are Xiao Meiji? Instead of calling me third sister-in-law out of politeness, you are trying to teach me? You don't have any rules." Qiao Xian raised her eyebrows and snorted with her chin up. "My father is an officer in the county, you want me to bow to you?" Xiao Mei's face twisted. "You are bullying me." Yang Xiaoni suddenly let out a scream, startling Xiao Meiji and Xiao Xiaoji. She held Xiao Xian's wrist. "Fifth sister-in-law, please go to the kitchen and check our clay pot rice. We must not let it get ruined." Xiao Xian laughed out loud. Her third sister-in-law was really a devoted foodie. "Honestly. And here. I can deal with it here." Yang Xiaoni pursed her lips. "We are making food, they can't stop us." "Okay, then I will deal with the rice." Xiao Xian was totally amused by Yang Xiaoni and returned to the kitchen. She must not ruin the delicious clay pot rice for such people. It would be such a shame. Xiao Meiji got extremely irritated. How dare they ignore her like this? Just wait. Xiao Meiji stood up angrily. "I will tell eldest uncle about this. How can his daughters-in-law be so cruel?" Yang Xiaoni stood up too. She had her hands over her waist. "So what? You are the one who bullied us here. You are married and are not part of our family." Xiao Meiji was shivering. She was so angry. She had never believed that anyone from the first section of the family would ever counter her. In her opinion, these newly wedded daughters-in-law should be too timid to counter her. Look at Miss Su, for example. She never dared to say any words to counter her. But she felt so stricken when she was blocked by Qiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni. Xiao Meiji glared at Yang Xiaoni. "We are leaving now. You two just wait and see." Yang Xiaoni smiled. "All right then." Xiao Meiji staggered and almost tripped herself. The two sisters had just walked out to the yard, when they smelled something that made them drool. Chapter 466. Good smell. The two sisters could not help but pause in their footsteps. They took in the smell and sensed the special combination of smoked meat and the delicious rice. Made them drool even more. Xiao Xiaoji asked Xiao Xiaoqi, "Brother Qi, what are you cooking?" Xiao Meiji did not say a word, but she also pricked up her ears for the reply. Xiao Xiaoqi said lazily, "Smoked meat." Every household made smoked meat, so did the second and third section of the family, though they did not make this much like the first section of the family. Xiao Xiaoji pursed her lips. "I did not know that it was smoked meat, but how can it smell so different?" Xiao Xiaoqi ignored her. Xiao Meiji came to cause them trouble, and Xiao Xiaoqi hated it when Xiao Xiaoji followed suit. The smell seemed to tempt them so much. Xiao Xiaoji could not resist it anymore. She swallowed her saliva. "I will go and have a look at it." She rushed to the kitchen. Xiao Meiji was a little hesitant before she finally gave up. She followed them. Xiao Xiaoqi and Yang Xiaoni exchanged a look. Yang Xiaoni summoned him and told him to join them. When Xiao Xian made a pot, she made two sets of several casserole pots of different sizes. Now, on the three stoves, two small pots were for one person, and the other was for two people, namely Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. At this moment, the lid was lifted, and Xiao Xian was pouring the seasoning sauce, cracking the eggs and preparing to add vegetables. It smelled so good. It was a nice scene. Neat slices of dark red sausage, oily and textured smoked duck pieces, fresh and tender lettuce, oily and translucent rice grains, plum sauce, embellished with minced garlic, small pieces of garlic leaves and yellow and white eggs could be seen. It looked just too delicious. They could not stand it anymore. Xiao Xiaoji could not help but lick her lips. "I want to eat it too." Xiao Meiji snorted. She wanted to eat more. She and her husband had traveled all the way here and not eaten a thing. This delicious-looking dish almost killed her. She did not utter a sound but believed that if Xiaoji could be offered a portion, she would be given one too. They were together. Xianxia defended her food and said, "This is our dinner, just enough for us. See, it is smoked meat with egg and rice, that is all. You can make it at home too. Please leave now, we are going to eat our dinner soon." Xiaoji was very disappointed and annoyed. "You are so stingy." Yang Xiaoni said, "This is my dinner, of course you can't have any." Xiaomeiji snorted. "With the eldest uncle and eldest aunt away you cooked so much food. You are ruining food and wasting money. We don't need lazy and greedy daughters-in-law like you here." Xiaoqi immediately said, "Cousin, we always eat this even when parents are here." Yang Xiaoni smiled. "Chi, your cousin knows nothing, so she misunderstands us. And cousins, we don't care what kind of daughters-in-law are at your home. But now you are at our home and it is none of your business how we live. You are welcome to report us to our parents-in-law when they are back." Xiaomeiji. She became crazy after hearing this. Chapter 467. Willingness. Xiaomeiji thought that if she threatened them, Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian would stuff her with good food as a bribe. But they unexpectedly countered her. When done with work, Xiao Xian looked at Xiaomeiji. "Cousin, the second and third sections of the family kept forcing us to work for you guys. Do you think that we are the same as before? That is history now. Such behavior will never happen again. It already stopped half a year ago. Second and third uncles are already used to this change and I believe that you should get used to this too. Stop acting as if you are the host of this house. No one buys that anymore. That is not what happens in any house in the village. If you are not convinced, just try it out." Yang Xiaoni snorted. Fifth sister-in-law is right. As the clay pot rice was almost ready, she just could not wait and said impatiently, "Just leave now, we can talk about this tomorrow, we are ready to eat dinner soon." Xiaomeiji was starving but she could not stand what Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian said to her. She threw a fierce glare at them and grabbed Xiaoji away. Xiaoqi followed up and shut the door. Xiaoji licked her lips. "Sister, I really want to eat that smoked sausage rice, it smells so good." Xiaomeiji could not help but swallow her saliva. With teeth clenched she said, "We can go home now and tell eldest uncle tomorrow. She will have to make the food for us." Xiaoji's eyes sparkled. "Yeah, you are so smart, sister, haha." Xiaomeiji was panicking. What Xiao Xian said to her at last was making her feel anxious. She had no way to counter that. It was not a regular practice in the village. But eldest uncle promised to take care of his brothers, and that he would definitely help if his brothers needed him. That was what had been happening all these years. Why did they stop helping them? Her mother said that things changed after the fifth sister-in-law got married. Was she so capable? Xiaomeiji did not believe that. But she thought of her words and found this woman hard to deal with. "Xiaoji, tell me about Miss Qiao." The two sisters did not look that well when they returned home. Xiaoji kept telling Ms. Ma that she wanted to eat smoked sausage rice. Ms. Ma did not know what that was, so she ignored her and asked Xiaomeiji instead. "How did it go? Miss Qiao is really arrogant, isn't she?" "That is how she is like. We're already used to it. You should never get annoyed by her." Xiaomeiji became even angrier. She isn't the only one. Ms. Yang isn't obedient either, and Qi too. He has turned very unruly. Same goes for my cousin. He even pretended as if I were not around. He did not even show up. In fact, Xiao Yunduan was studying in his yard and had no idea that she had been there. Xiaoqi had wanted to inform him but was stopped by Xiao Xian. Hearing Xiaomei's words, Ms. Ma sneered. "They are rich now and you have seen that too. Didn't you see their big house? They are looking down at us totally." Unconvinced, Xiaomeiji bit her lips. "So, the eldest uncle has left us alone?" Ms. Ma sneered and sounded furious. "No need to mention him. He makes empty promises but never puts them into practice." Chapter 468. Tomorrow. Xiaomeiji could not help but believe this reluctantly. Otherwise eldest uncle would not have built this house alone. She and her family would have a share in it as well. Seeing Ms. Ma ignoring her, Xiaoji repeated and said, "Mom, make me the smoked sausage rice, I want to eat it." Ms. Ma turned to her daughter. "What claypot rice?" Xiaoji said, "Some rice with a layer of smoked sausage, meat with egg, vegetables and soy sauce. Cousin was making it and I smelt it. It was so great but they did not share it with us." Ms. Ma sneered. "Your own fault. They are looking down on you." Xiaoji pursed her lips. "We will make eldest uncle tell them to make us the same food." Ms. Ma did not respond and said, "Then wait until tomorrow. Smoked sausage and meat with egg? Of course it smells good. They are just ruining the food. Xiaomei replied. Eldest uncle is not at home, and Miss Chiao as well as Ms. Yang are wasting food. Eldest aunt will definitely blame them. Please wait until tomorrow and see how they are scolded. Ms. Ma did not think that Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni would be scolded, but she hoped that they would be. So she added casually. Let's just wait and see. Xiao Xian served the claypot rice on the tray and went with Yang Xiaoni to the dining room, while Qi fetched Xiao Yunduan to join them for food. Xiao Xian mentioned Xiao Mai's visit while they were all seated. Yang Xiaoni was angry as well. She kept adding to the story. She regretted it. I should not have opened the door for them. Xiao Yunduan smiled. It doesn't matter, they will definitely come here again tomorrow when our parents are here. Yang Xiaoni said, she is definitely the daughter of the third section of the family, just like my own sister-in-law. Xiao Xian laughed. Then please wait until tomorrow. I just can't wait. Food was more important to them. The four of them stopped talking about Xiaomei but turned to the delicious food instead. The claypot rice was blended with meat and sauce, giving out a wonderful smell. It was not until after lunch when Miss Fang and Miss Su as well as the others returned. It was again so lively inside the house. Soon after that Xiao Xiaoji came over. Eldest uncle, my sister and brother-in-law are all here? My parents are asking eldest uncle to have a chat with them. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni exchanged a look between themselves. So, they wanted to exaggerate the story behind their backs. But they were going to become the laughingstock after all. Eldest uncle was very happy to see that Xiao Meiji thought of him. He smiled happily. Meiji is back with her husband? All right, I will go to your home and have a chat with them. Miss Fang smiled. Only your eldest uncle is invited, not me? Also, they are junior people in the family. How can they ask seniors to come over? So precious they are? Or they can't walk. If they can't walk, then they don't have to come over here anymore in the future. Xiao Xiaoji did not dare to utter a sound. Miss Fang was right in every word. Eldest uncle coughed and turned to her. You must be thinking too much. They are just asking me to visit them. Miss Fang sneered. Oh really? Then do you remember to tell me whether Meiji is missing you or trying to tell some exaggerated stories to you about her past experience? Xiao Xiaoda's heart skipped a beat. She felt too ashamed to stay here. Chapter 469. Whole story. She had always been afraid of the eldest aunt, and now she was even more scared of her. Eldest uncle felt a little bit displeased. You just like thinking too much about Miss Fang, chuckled. Then, go ahead. Eldest uncle was affected by what Miss Fang said, so he felt quite annoyed and followed Xiao Xiaoji. Xiao Meiji and her husband were very hospitable towards him, and Xiao Meiji even greeted him happily. But before eldest uncle was able to taste the happiness, Xiao Meiji started to talk about something else. The more the eldest uncle heard about this, the more guilty he felt inside his heart. Miss Fang was totally right. Had it not been for Miss Fang's reminder, what Xiao Meiji said to him might have fooled him. But Miss Fang's words plus what Xiao Meiji said made him realize that Xiao Meiji was trying to make some accusations. Miss Chiao was indeed arrogant, but she never irritated people unless people irritated her first. And Miss Yang? She was even less likely to do this. She only wanted food. So, when Meiji said that she went to visit them but was humiliated instead, eldest uncle did not really buy that. He did not speak his doubts in front of Xiao Meiji, but said some vague words to console her. Xiao Meiji felt very proud. She assumed that she had achieved what she wanted. Eldest uncle, you have to get me justice. Eldest uncle was taken aback. What? Oh, okay. Ms. Ma added some complaints of her own, saying that Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni were ruining food at home. Eldest uncle became even more speechless. Miss Chiao was rich and she always ate what she wanted. She even shared the food with the whole family, so what could he blame her for? But he did not dare to reveal anything like this in front of the third section of the family, otherwise he would sound as if he were showing off. Eldest uncle was actually a very modest person who never liked showing off. But soon Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Meiji, as well as Xiao Mai's husband Jiang Dai and Ms. Ma followed eldest uncle to his home. Xiao Meiji was waiting to see Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni getting scolded. Unexpectedly, the whole thing turned out quite different. Eldest uncle could not scold his daughter-in-law. Also, he spotted how confident Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni looked, and with Miss Fang's cold eyes, he felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, before he could say a thing, Miss Fang started scolding Xiao Meiji. Meiji, we were not at home yesterday. What were you doing here humiliating my daughters-in-law? What has your mother taught you? Apologize to them now. Xiao Meiji was shocked. She snapped. They are lying. I never did that. Miss Fang sneered. My daughters-in-law never lie. But you have been a liar since childhood. Want me to give you some examples? Also, Qi was here too. Did he lie as well? Xiao Meiji always bullied Tao Tao and Qi and made up stories. Ms. Fang had caught her doing so a few times. Xiao Meiji flushed. Ms. Ma said, eldest sister-in-law Meiji was the guest, and she got angry because Ms. Qiao and Ms. Yang did not treat her well. Ms. Fang said, oh, so you know you are a guest and outsider? Then what were you doing at my house? My daughters-in-law did not have to tolerate such behavior. Xiao Mei's husband Jianghu was dumbfounded. He had no idea what he should do. Xiao Meiji felt so humiliated. She covered her face and sobbed. Eldest aunt, how can you say this? They must have exaggerated the whole thing. You are the one who exaggerates, not them. They always tell the truth. Stop crying here, go to your own house and cry. Chapter 470. Not making Xiao Xian smiled. Cousin, I told you yesterday that we live separately. You are the guest and you should stick to the rules. You want to be our host? How ridiculous. Shame on you all. We should not have spoiled you. Miss Fang said coldly. Xiao Meiji stared at eldest uncle, transfixed. Eldest uncle looked embarrassed but still asked. Miss Qiao, why didn't you serve food to Meiji and Xiaoji yesterday? Xiao Xian was surprised. But shouldn't they eat at the third section of the family instead of here? Also, they were too late, we had prepared the food already. Xiaoji added. But we are not late today. We want to eat the clay pot rice you ate last night. Xiao Xian smiled. You mean clay pot rice? I told you how to make it. You can cook it yourselves. We are not a restaurant and don't take orders from others, not even if money is paid. Yang Xiaoni laughed. Xiaoji snapped. Eldest uncle, my sister is not home often. Xiao Xian interrupted her. That is not my business. Miss Fang said, true. She can keep your parents company if she does not visit home often. You are dreaming if you want my daughter-in-law to cook food for you. Eldest uncle frowned. Miss Qiao, Ms. Yang, they are relatives. You can make food for relatives, right? Xiao Xian said, relatives order food? Eldest uncle. You. Miss Fang immediately said, she was too unfriendly yesterday for us to make any food for her. Eldest uncle Miss Fang continued. Honestly, Ms. Ma, I am telling you now that we will be celebrating the new year separately. You won't be joining us anymore. Ms. Ma was startled. What? Not understood? Miss Fang said, we are living separately and we should celebrate New Year separately as well. Ms. Ma. Eldest uncle was about to say something when Miss Fang beat him to it. If you don't like this idea, you can spend the New Year with them. But we are not doing this henceforth. Xiao Meiji said angrily, eldest uncle, you promised to take care of us. Miss Fang smiled. Heard that? They are trying to make you take care of them. If you want to do so, we won't stop you. How about you moving to their home for good? Eldest uncle looked distressed. His mind was completely befuddled. What Xiao Meiji said to him stung his heart. Xiao Meiji panicked too. She was about to give some explanation when Miss Fang drove them all out of the house. How could Xiao Meiji make Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni make food for them? She should be served some dishwasher water. Ms. Ma stomped her feet in front of the door angrily. Okay, let's go home. We will never come here again. Jiang Da's eyes rolled as he said voluntarily, Mom, we are one family. Don't ruin this relationship. Eldest uncle's family is so rich and they should help us so that we can have a better life. Ms. Ma snorted. Stop dreaming. Don't you know now what they are like? Xiao Meiji felt sour, shamed and angry. It was the first time for her to get humiliated by the first section of the family, so she felt worse than ever. She almost could not stand up when she reached home. Chapter 471. Annoyed, Mom, is their behavior so over the top now? Ms. Ma sank her face. You saw what happened. They have been like this since some time. Honestly, damn. Then we just ignore them. Saying that, Xiao Meiji got dumbfounded again. The first section of the family was so rich now and wanted to get rid of them. Ms. Ma added. When your brother becomes an officer, they will not be this arrogant. Also, Xiao Yunduan has been driven out of the college and he is done for. Really? Tell me more about it. Xiao Meiji instantly got interested. The mother and the daughter exchanged some gossip, and Xiao Meiji felt very glad hearing the bad news. Just wait and see what their future would be like. Xiaoji was displeased and nagged. Mom, I want to eat smoked sausage rice now. Ms. Ma became annoyed. What smoked sausage rice? You always talk about this. She had thought that when her elder daughter was home she could make some difference. But she was also ruthlessly driven out by Ms. Fang. She was quite upset as she thought about this. Xiao Meiji was greedy for that too. "Mom, just make the smoked sausage rice tonight." Looking at them too, Ms. Ma was interested as she asked strangely, "How is that rice made? Can it be so delicious?" Xiaoji pursed her lips. "I don't know, but it smelled so nice and I really want it." But third sister-in-law and fifth sister-in-law did not share any with us. Ms. Ma felt a bit concerned for her daughter, who was never treated like this. Only Taotao was. Ms. Ma could not stand it when it was her daughter who was bullied. Okay, we will make smoked sausage rice tonight." They had smoked sausage as well. But it was not very easy to make the one they wished to eat. They had no special pot for clay pot rice, so they used the pot for rice cooking. When the rice was almost done, they put some sliced smoked sausage, poured some soy sauce, crushed some garlic and added some vegetables. Xiaoji wanted an egg, which was turned down by Ms. Ma. Smoked sausage with egg? That was such a waste. But Xiaoji and Xiao Meiji did not think the smell was right, except for the strange smell of the smoked sausage. It seemed totally different. Nonetheless, they still enjoyed the dish. But after that, Ms. Ma said, "This is the same as steamed smoked sausage." Xiaoji and Xiao Meiji were both startled. That seemed right. But they started to get really distressed again. They knew that the first section of the family had made a different, fragrant dish. Xiao Meiji felt so irritated when she missed out what she had almost got her hands on. Her parents were right. Eldest uncle had changed too. "Mom, where does eldest uncle's family get this much wealth from? Are they doing some business behind our backs?" Xiao Meiji's husband and father-in-law were carpenters. They made furniture for people, so Xiao Meiji had some different ideas. Ms. Ma was startled. "They have no business to do here." Xiao Meiji said, "The house is so big and the furniture isn't cheap. The glazed windows are really expensive. It's all Miss Chiao's dowry. That dumb-headed woman. The first section of the family is going to coax her to spend all of her dowry on them soon." Chapter 472. Miss Fang's determination dowry? That is too much even for someone's dowry. Xiao Meiji did not believe that. Miss Chiao is a concubine's daughter. No lineal mother would really care about a concubine's daughter that much. I believe that they must have some way of making money. Look at the businessman's family, the concubine's daughter always has a worse life than maids. Oh well. Xiao Meiji believed that her conjecture was right. "Mom, you should watch them carefully. Observe what they do. I am sure they have many ways of making money." Ms. Ma thought for a while and nodded. "Okay, I will keep an eye on them. It won't be so troublesome." They were in the same village. They would always run into each other. The next day, Xiao Meiji and her husband left. They had intended to just stay one night before leaving. But Xiao Meiji wanted to report Xiao Xian's deeds to eldest uncle when he was back, thus staying for one more day. But the report failed and she felt really annoyed. She did not even say goodbye to eldest uncle when she left. Hearing that the three families were not celebrating New Year together, second uncle and third uncle were really displeased. They rushed to the first section of the family and argued about it. Miss Fang ignored them and refused to change anything. Eldest uncle wanted to have a lively dinner, but no one in the family supported him. Xiao Sanlang, Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni all said no to his request, and Qi and Taotao disapproved of it too. Elder uncle felt really distressed, but there was nothing he could do. Second uncle and third uncle became totally disappointed with eldest uncle, who only talked nice but never did anything in reality. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma kept blaming the first section of the family for this decision, but no family in the village would gather together with their brothers, after their parents were gone. When the three sections of the family gathered to celebrate New Year's, they were just creating a strange scene. Hence, they could not even complain about it to the villagers. They felt so annoyed. But it had been settled that they were not spending the New Year together, ever again. Ms. Niu could not help but blame Ms. Ma. "It is your Meiji who caused all of this." But for what she did to the first section of the family, they would not have made this decision. Ms. Ma did not accept this accusation. "Eldest sister-in-law has disliked us for a long time. She was going to mention this to us anyway. Meiji has nothing to do with it." Since Ms. Fang and Ms. Su had finished with their visits to their parents' homes, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan visited the Qiao family before the minor New Year. They had some mediocre presents with them and got mediocre reception at the mansion. Officer Qiao did not appear this time to receive them. It was Madame Qiao, Qiao Wei, Concubine Du and Qiao Ko who received them. Qiao Wei was also there watching the show. She was really interested in meeting Xiao Xian. Xiao Wei even ordered Lu Yen to serve her. Xiao Xian's face changed as she saw Lu Yen. She lowered her head and said nothing, which made Xiao Wei feel really glad. Xiao Ko added fuel to the fire. Second sister, Lu Yen is your maid, isn't she? Why is she not with you? Xiao Xian was startled as she staggered. I'm not sure. Elder sister has the call. The elder sister could give whatever she wanted. She was arrogant and spoiled without any manners. Xiao Ko did not understand what Xiao Xian meant. She chuckled and teased. You are right, second sister, elder sister has the call. Chapter 473, Problems. She is the elder sister after all? Xiao Ko found her to be boring. She chuckled and said, Second sister, you are so obedient. You obey whatever elder sister tells you to. Xiao Xian said seriously, We are sisters and we should listen to each other. Xiao Ko was startled as she glared at Xiao Xian. Of course I am the most obedient one. Xiao Wei was already quite displeased. She snorted and threw a look at Xiao Ko. What was this bitch trying to say? No wonder her mother said that Xiao Xian was not a threat, but this bitch was. She was not going to allow this cheap woman to suck up to any noble family, otherwise there would be trouble. It seemed that her mom was right. Madame Qiao apparently realized that Xiao Ko did not mean anything good. She gave her a cold look. Concubine Du, who had been watching the show, felt her heart tremble. She threw a look at Xiao Ko, telling her to shut up. Lu Yen didn't dare to utter a word but said inwardly, Stop messing around. Second miss is not as simple as you assume. If you keep on causing trouble, you will really be in trouble. Concubine Du hurriedly spoke up, fearing that Xiao Ko would continue to say something bad. She smiled. One heard that young Master Xiao has been driven out of Minghua College, is it true? What happened? Xiao Ko soon got interested and chuckled. Yeah, what about telling the story of how you were driven out of college? You are not going to attend the imperial examination without a teacher, right? Should Dad help you? Xiao Xian threw a look at Xiao Ko as she turned to Madame Qiao, asking sincerely, Mom, can Dad really be of some help? Madame Qiao glanced at Xiao Ko coldly, snorting. Stop speaking nonsense. College made the decision for a certain reason. The old master is a fair and just officer who will never abuse his power to conduct any personal affairs. Oh. Xiao Xian looked disappointed. True. I never expected that. But I thought the third sister was telling me? Xiao Ko got anxious. Stop the nonsense. That is not what I mean. Xiao Xian sounded weak. Oh, then I must have been mistaken. Xiao Ko got even more annoyed. You are definitely mistaken. Drop it now. Madame Qiao got impatient as she snapped. Just shut your mouth if you don't know how to talk. Stop messing around. Xiao Ko flushed. She threw a grudging look at Xiao Xian. Concubine Du was annoyed too. She kept blaming Xiao Ko for being stupid and for Xiao Xian not being able to talk nicely, which made Madame Qiao misunderstand Xiao Ko. Concubine Du quieted down rather than laugh at Xiao Xian. Lu Yen lowered her head. She wished to hide herself. She thought to herself. Second miss just puts forward a few casual words and third miss immediately gets set up. She is not as simple as she looks. Noon has ever realized it. Alright, you have traveled far to come to this place. Stay for lunch. Madame Qiao stood up and was about to leave. She had no interest in keeping Xiao Xian and her husband company. Xiao Xian replied. It will get dark soon, so we need to head back. We can keep ourselves warm under the sun. No need for lunch, thanks. Mother, we are leaving now. Say hello to father for us. Chapter 474. Going home, they were sure that Xiao Yunduan's future had been ruined, and Xiao Xian was never going to get out of the farmer's family. They did not bother to make any effort in being nice. In this case, it saved them a lot of trouble. They would not stop her from leaving if she wanted to. Sure enough, Madame Qiao ignored them and said, Any way you like. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan waved them goodbye and left the mansion. All right, darling? Yeah, I am fine. They smiled at each other. Then let's go home. Okay. They walked for over 2 lanes before getting on the donkey cart. Xiao Sanlang was waiting for them at the noodle restaurant close by. He was surprised that they showed up so early. But Xiao Sanlang never pried into the reason for it. He stood up and greeted them, and the 3 of them went home together. They learned about Yang Liang's visit when they came home. Xiao Sanlang got anxious as she took Yang Xiani's hands. Honey, he did not bully you, did he? Yang Xiani felt so sweet in heart as she looked at Xiao Sanlang with love, shaking her head. No, don't worry, brother Sanlang. We are at our own home and he could not bully me at all. That is good. Xiao Sanlang let out a sigh of relief, snorting. Shame on him. Yang Xiaoni added. Yeah. I ignored him too. You are right, just ignore him. He must have said something bad to you, but don't think about it. I would be worried. I am happy to have you, Brother Sanlang. I am not annoyed. Haha. Miss Fang could not stand their behavior anymore. She glared at her son. Just go back to your room for these sweet talks. Stop being in the way. Qiao Xian and the others had already left the site. Xiao Sanlang was confused. We are not in the way. Miss Fang shouted. You are. Just go back to your room. Xiao Sanlang had a lot to ask Yang Xiaoni. He found his mother getting really hot-tempered these days, but he did not want to argue with her. So he replied briefly and left with Yang Xiaoni. They continued to talk about this when they went back to their own room. Yang Liang visited Yang Xiaoni because he was thinking about taking Yang Xiaoni back, so they would not be laughed at by people in the village, especially since Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang refused to pass on any gifts to them. Yang Liang said to Miss Tian, Xiaoni is my sister and I can coax her. She won't be so ruthless. If they come here, you must not scold her anymore. Treat her nicely so they could come and visit us often. Miss Tian cursed inwardly and said unhappily, all right, I know what to do. You can get her back if you are capable of doing so. She is not as generous as you assume. She holds a deep grudge against you. Yang Liang was annoyed by what she said. His face sank and he asked, what do you mean? Do you want me to get them here or not? Miss Tian fell silent. Miss Fang and Yang Xiaoni were both alarmed seeing Yang Liang at the door. He felt so embarrassed. Yang Liang was so jealous looking at the new house of the first section of the family. The first section of the family was leading an increasingly better life. Chapter 475. Her guesses his sister looked prettier than the last time they met. She was even wearing silver bracelets, with silver hairpins and silk flowers in her hair, looking radiant. That made Yang Liang feel really uncomfortable. He had a strange thought inside his head. Yang Xiaoni turned down Yang Liang's intention. He became really furious when the persuasion did not work. Xiaomi, isn't it enough? You have vented your anger. Are you trying to deny that I am your brother? Yang Xiaoni looked at him calmly. You denied that I was your sister a long time ago. You never treated me like your sister. You didn't even give me any dowry when I got married. I got my wedding gown from my mother-in-law. You forgot all of these? I didn't. Yang Liang got even more annoyed. But you said yes to all of these. Why didn't you oppose the decision? Now you are picking up the old stories? Yang Xiaoni sneered. Would that have worked? I did not dare say a thing. What if my wedding was called off because of you and your selfish behavior? If it were not Brother Sanlang I married, but some poor family who never fed me, would you still come and beg me to go home with you? Yang Liang was startled. He subconsciously did not dare look at Yang Xiaoni. Yang Xiaoni sneered. She felt even colder in heart. This was what she had expected. What was the point of putting on a show? Miss Fang could not help but glance at Yang Xiaoni. Her third son's daughter-in-law might look slow in the head, but she never changed her mind once she made the decision. She was not all that useless. So, we can be strangers from today on and part our ways. I won't be jealous of you if you make a fortune or want a portion of it. Similarly, whether I am living well or not has nothing to do with you either, understand? Yang Liang felt so embarrassed. But he had no words to counter her. He left the Xiao family in total awkwardness. He had another fight with Miss Tian when he reached home. Hearing Yang Xiaoni's words, Xiao Sanlang kept kissing his wife, smiling. My wife, you were great. You made such a wonderful speech. Yang Xiaoni looked very proud and smiled brightly. Of course I did. The following day, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Sanlang went to deliver New Year's presents to Master Yun. Master Yun had not taken Xiao Yunduan as the disciple formally, but he still learned a lot from him. He respected him and admired him as a disciple, thus abundant presents were prepared. However, when he returned home in the afternoon, Master Yun and his 3 servants, namely Uncle Yun and Aunt Yun as well as Tsang, came back with him. They were going to spend the new year at his house. Miss Fang and eldest uncle were surprised, but still opened their arms in welcome for them. Xiao Zioki's yard was quite spacious, with 3 wing rooms and 1 main room, as well as 2 smaller affiliated rooms. Master Yun and his group would live there. Qi volunteered to spare the main room for Master Yun, whilst he rolled up his blanket and moved to the east affiliated room. Master Yun stayed in the master bedroom, whilst Uncle Yun and Aunt Yun lived in the western affiliated room. Tsang lived in the segmented room next to Master Yun's. Soon, Uncle Yun sorted the east wing room as study. The Xiao family were quite uneasy facing Master Yun and his people. They were plainly dressed but they looked different. So, the Xiao family were all quite nervous meeting them. The whole family asked Master Yun to take the seat. Master Yun was surprised. He had thought that his servant Aunt Yun made all this. So, it was not her? But hearing what Miss Fang said, he felt relaxed and smiled. Okay, I will try everything. You are living a great life here. How wonderful. Miss Fang was proud. Yeah. My sons and daughters-in-law are all very capable people. Master Yun nodded with a smile. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Miss Fang felt even prouder. Yes. Miss Fang was very easy to get on well with. She was very straightforward. Xiao Xian cooked for Master Yun every day. She tried her best to serve Master Yun some good dishes. Chapter 477, New Year's Eve Translator. Henyi translations. Firstly, she was showing respect to the teacher, and also she wanted Master Yun to see that they were very sincere so Master Yun could accept Xiao Yunduan as the disciple formally. Master Yun spoke highly of her cooking skills. He had been to many places and Xiao Xian served different cuisines, some of which he had tasted before and some not. Hearing that Xiao Xian was the daughter of the county magistrate and learned the cooking skills from books, he could not help but feel emotional. How blind was the county magistrate to have ignored such a wonderful daughter. When Master Yun was well fed, he spent more effort in imparting knowledge to Xiao Yunduan. He was having a very leisure time living with the first section of the family. Soon, the news that guests were visiting the first section of the family spread in the village, but it was not discussed for too long. The first section of the family was different from the other families. It was quite normal these days that they had guests. Seeing that it was an elderly man who was the visitor, the second and third section of the family lost interest. But they kept mumbling to themselves, blaming them for being turned away while strangers were accepted. The New Year's Eve arrived soon after Minor New Year. It was very lively in the whole village on New Year's Eve. Every household started to post Spring Festival couplets and window paper cuts in the morning. Those who were more particular would hang 2 pairs of red lanterns under the eaves to watch the festival. The first section of the family was going to spend the new year in the new house, and everyone was glad about it. They had got everything: the couplets, the character of happiness, window paper cuts as well as red lanterns under the eaves. The whole house looked really lively. Tao and Chi put on new clothes and shoes with pockets full of melon seeds, peanuts, pine nuts, almonds and so on, playing with children in the village. They cheered happily and set firecrackers, making the whole village look even more flourishing. Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Meiling also had new clothes made. When they went out to hang out with friends they ran into Tao and Chi who had their brother with them too. Tao was wearing a rose-red dress, embroidered with begonia flowers on the side, a circle of fluffy snow-white rabbit fur around the neckline and cuffs, a light pink skirt and thick buckskin boots, which made the girl look very beautiful. The material of the dress was not satin, but it was better than ordinary muslin, and the workmanship of the clothes was more delicate and meticulous. It made her stand out in the crowd of friends without being too obtrusive. Still Tao caused much envy from her peers, since she was already a good-looking girl from birth. She had many snacks and shared them with friends generously, and many children loved hanging out with her. Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Meiling had been quite happy in their new clothes, but their faces turned dark when they saw Tao. Tao was never as good as them and she only got what they had left. But things are different now. The 2 sisters felt sour in heart. They could have ripped Tao of the silk flowers and hairpin flowers as well as snacks in the past, and they would have pestered eldest uncle to share the clothes with them too. But they did not dare to do anything like that now. Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Meiling kept mocking Tao and tried to turn others against her. But Tao had many snacks and was very generous, so she attracted many fellows to her side, which made Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Meiling really displeased. They found the whole thing going against them and hence decided to go home with their faces sunk. Chapter 478. Opinions. Xiao Meiling was slightly older and had just gotten engaged. She did not dare to make a scene, thus crying to herself. Xiao Xiaoji almost burst into tears seeing Ms. Ma. Tao bullied me. Ms. Ma had not been really happy when she heard about killing a chicken for New Year's dinner. Now she became really angry. How did she bully you? Tell me. Even Tao has changed. Normally, all they needed to do was to eat at the first section of the family every year rather than take care of everything, which saved them a lot of trouble. But right now they have to do everything by themselves. She wanted a reason to vent the accumulated anger. Xiaoji got startled hearing what her mother said. She stumbled with her words, not daring to say a thing. Her mother got even more irritated by her hesitation, so she dashed off into the room. Miss Ma mumbled. Serve you right to have been bullied, so timid and weak. But after thinking about this for a while, she did not go to the doorstep of the first section of the family to fight. After New Year's Eve, they visited relatives rather than farmed the land. The whole village had a very relaxed air around. There were many people visiting the first section of the family. Ms. Fang and her daughters-in-law received them one by one. Ms. Fang and Ms. Z's mother's family, Ding Erza's in-laws as well as Ms. Fang's married elder sister etc. They were all here. Even Xiao Dali as well as a few other families from the same village came to visit them. Xiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni as well as Ms. Su received the guests every day. They were very busy. Luckily, the new house was spacious enough for the relatives to stay, and Xiao Yunduan was not affected when he needed to study. After the new year, the autumn examination date was approaching. But on the 6th day of the new year, Miss Su suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. She turned pale and vomited. She knew what was happening. Miss Fang asked the doctor to feel the pulse, and it was revealed that Miss Su had been pregnant for 2 months. The whole family cheered happily. Xiao Dalong felt happier since he was going to be a father again. Miss Fang asked Miss Su to take a good rest instead of working in the field. She could do some light work like feeding the chicken and sweeping the floor. The 4-year-old Xiao Qing should not be next to her either, in case her stomach was kicked accidentally by the child. Xiao Xian offered some cubulos and donkey hide gelatin to Miss Su as supplementary food. Miss Su was quite pleased. She had one son and she did not care if it was a girl or a boy that was yet to come. Most importantly, they were living a very good life these days and the child knew how to choose a family. She or he would be a very happy child anyway. Yang Xiaoni massaged her sunk belly and got a little worried. She turned to Xiao Sanlang and said some bitter words, meaning that the elder sister-in-law was already pregnant with the 3rd child, whilst she had not got pregnant at all after being married for so long. She wondered if their mother would not like it. Xiao Sanlang could tell that his wife was very worried about this. He said anxiously, "It is not your fault. I should take responsibility too. You can't get pregnant by yourself." Yang Xiaoni flushed. "I am talking about serious business here. You are just making those indecent remarks." Xiao Sanlang. "What? Why indecent? Mom won't blame you for that. Don't worry about this." Xiao Sanlang consoled Yang Xiaoni. He thought for a while and turned to look at his mother instead. Chapter 479. Miss Fang's laughter. He was going to tell his mother not to give them too much pressure in pushing them to give birth to a baby. Miss Fang almost laughed. She poked him straight on the forehead. "I don't intend to put you under any pressure, okay? You have only been married for a few months. Also, Ms. Yang did not have a good time back at her own home, and it is not that good to get pregnant now. You should make sure she lives well and becomes healthier so she can be pregnant then." "Oh, true." Xiao Sanling's eyes brightened as he smiled. "I never thought about this before. Mom, you are so considerate." Miss Fang glared at him. "Now you understand? Then get lost from here. So irritating that my brainless son is wandering in front of me." Xiao Sanlang did not care when he was scolded. He chuckled and went to tell his wife this good news. Miss Fang thought for a while. She was worried that Miss Chiao would be worried about this issue too, when she saw Miss Su getting pregnant. So, Miss Fang automatically consoled Xiao Xian, telling her not to get worried about getting pregnant now, especially since Xiao Yunduan was in the middle of preparing for the imperial examination. She kept insisting that they should not have a child so soon, and they could wait for a couple of more years and such. Xiao Xian flushed after hearing that. She nodded with a small chuckle. She felt a bit moved but embarrassed too. Actually, she never thought about pregnancy just because her elder sister-in-law got pregnant again. She had not even slept with Xiao Yunduan at this point, nor had she thought about getting pregnant. As a result, she never related Ms. Z's pregnancy to hers. But when her mother-in-law mentioned it, she was reminded that she might need to get pregnant and become a mother someday, since she was Xiao Yunduan's wife after all. Luckily, her mother-in-law was open-minded, and she could leave this matter to the future. On the 10th day of the new year, Master Yun and his servants left the first section of the family and returned home. Xiao Yunduan and Miss Fang could not make them stay longer. So, they had to give it up. Xiao Yunduan accompanied them personally, and sent abundant local things to them. Master Yun liked their smoked sausage and meat, salted eggs and preserved eggs, dried bamboo and mushrooms etc. So he accepted them all without turning down the offer. On the 12th day of the new year, Xiao Xilang from the second section of the family was getting married. Ms. Niu and second uncle had a good idea. They wanted Qi to hunt a wild boar so that the banquet would look good, and also they would not have to buy any meat themselves. Miss Fang laughed. They were telling Qi to hunt wild boars so their son's wedding could look good. Wild boars were very dangerous animals and they could not be hunted just on someone's whim and fancy. Miss Fang turned them down, which displeased second uncle and Ms. Niu. When the wedding day came, Miss Fang took Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao to offer help, whilst Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Yunduan as well as Qi all went to greet the bride. Miss Su was pregnant so she did not go to help. She would just visit when the bride arrived. She should stay at home in case she bumped into something. Miss Fang did not want Xiao Xian to go there either. She asked her to stay at home to look after Miss Su and not do any labor work. Ms. Niu had wanted Xiao Xian to offer help, because she was county magistrate's daughter, which would lift up their family's reputation. But there was nothing she could do when Miss Fang refused to bring her along. Ms. Zhang sneered. Elder sister-in-law is pregnant with the third child and she is getting more precious than before. She needs to be taken care of specially by someone at home? Chapter 480, Annoyance. Miss Fang snorted. True. We are living a different life now and of course she is more precious than before. We are going to get compensation for what we lost in the past. Ms. Zhang choked on her words and veins popped up on her forehead. What they had lost in the past. Yeah, the first section of the family was bullied by the second and third section of the family in the past, and they never had a relaxed time. So, of course they were not considered precious in the past. Unconvinced, she pretended to smile calmly. Tao Tao is enough to take care of her elder sister-in-law, right? Why fifth sister-in-law? I am afraid that you are favoring her more. You don't want her to get tired. Miss Fang never liked Ms. Zhang. When she was turned down after she tried to borrow money from her, she had never acted normally whenever they ran into each other. Ms. Zhang always picked the worst words to speak. Miss Fang had never wanted to pick on someone junior in the family, but this junior kept offending her, and she was really starting to get irritated. Also, Miss Fang was not a good-tempered person to begin with, so she snapped. True. Of course I have a preference and it is up to me, the mother-in-law. Anyone dares to counter my preference? I think your mother-in-law is the same. She gave 15 liang as a wedding gift to the Yen family, just hoping that their daughter could come to your family. She even built 2 new rooms for them. Second niece, honestly don't be mad. The Yen family is running a tofu business and should be quite rich. I heard that they had a large dowry prepared as well. The girl from the Yen family should be quite capable. I am sure your mother-in-law has her preference as well. Ms. Zhang was trembling. She almost could not breathe. Miss Fang sneered and turned around, leaving arrogantly. How dare this young woman try to play tricks on her? As the drum was played and the whole place turned bustling, the bride was officially married to the family. Ms. Zhang did not like any of this, especially the redness. Yang Xiaoni and Miss Fang did not return home until that evening. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao boiled some water at home, so the hall room was filled with a warm coal basin. They even had some water prepared. They regained energy after drinking the hot tea, warmed up in front of the fire and finally relaxed. The wedding was not as good as that of the first section of the family, and those who were there to help had no time to eat anything during the wedding. They were only allowed to eat the leftovers after the banquet was over. But there were no leftovers remaining as well. The leftovers were all taken away by Ms. Niu, so Miss Fang had almost no meat to eat. Anyways, they had been so well fed during the Chinese New Year, so she desired something light. Hence, she ignored the cheap behavior of the second section of the family. Early next morning, the newly wedded Ms. Yen, together with Xiao Xilang, came over with Ms. Niu to greet the first section of the family. The first section of the family represented the eldest in the family, so the newly wedded daughter-in-law of the other sections of the family should come to greet the relatives here first. Xiao Xian could not help but size up Ms. Yen secretly. Ms. Yen had a very ordinary look, with many freckles on her nose. She was medium-sized, neither chubby nor skinny. Dressed in red clothes and with some silver pins and red silk flowers on her head, she seemed friendly. She was 4 years older than Xiao Xilang though. Chapter 481. The generous Ms. Yen. Xiao Xian finally understood why the Yen family wished to marry their daughter to Xiao Xilang, when she was already 20 years old. The Yen family was slightly wealthy and loved the daughter. So, they were quite particular when it came to son-in-laws. But Ms. Yen looked really ordinary, and the Yen family were not incomparably rich. Since the Yen family was particular about their son-in-law, she was not married until 20 years old. That was when the Yin family got so anxious. The Yin family would never have wanted to marry their daughter to people like the second section of the family. But things were different. Seeing that the second section of the family was offering 15 liang as a wedding gift, the Yin family approved of the marriage. Otherwise their daughter would become an old spinster. Xiao Xiling was just lucky. Ms. Yen served the senior people in the family tea, whilst Xiao Xian, Qi and Tao Tao were waiting for her to address them differently after seeing the presents. What surprised them most of all was that Ms. Yen had prepared presents for Qi, Tao Tao, Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing. Tao Tao and Xiao Qing were given a pair of pink silk flowers whilst Qi and Xiao Junyan were given a purse of sapphire-colored flowers each. The whole first section of the family got shocked. Their eyes were widened. The second section of the family was so stingy that they had never received presents from them. Ms. Yan's actions shocked them all. Even Ms. Su tried to turn down the present, but thanked Ms. Yen for her kindness. Tao Tao and Qi kept pushing the presents away. No thanks. Ms. Niu looked surprised too. Apparently that was Ms. Yan's own idea, which had not been shared with Ms. Niu. Ms. Niu took the opportunity and smiled. Ms. Yen, they don't lack any of these things, just take them back. Mom, these are my wishes for them. I'm not taking them back. Ms. Yen smiled. She sounded gentle but had a very firm attitude. Cousin, Tao Tao and Qi, accept them. Are you all looking down at my presents? They all hesitated and turned to Ms. Fang for help. Ms. Fang smiled. Just accept the kindness from Ms. Yen. So they did. Ms. Niu was not very pleased. But she could not teach her newly wedded daughter-in-law a lesson in front of others. So she had to drop it. After they left, Qi and Ms. Su opened the purses and found that there were 8 pennies inside each of them. They were even more surprised. Is she a little too generous? Although the first section of the family did not think that 8 pennies was a lot, yet for villagers that was already a huge amount. Ms. Fang smiled. Just accept it. Ms. Yen seems nice. Ms. Yen must have heard of the relationship between the 3 sections of the family, but she still did so. It also seemed that Ms. Niu had no idea about this. Apparently, Ms. Yen had the intention of befriending the first section of the family. Ms. Fang did not think that it was something bad. As long as Ms. Yen did not do anything against them. She would teach her a lesson too. Honestly, if Ms. Yen dared to be calculative towards the first section of the family, she would end up in a bad situation. Back home, Ms. Niu wasn't that pleased. But she still avoided Ms. Zhang and said to the newlyweds, Ms. Yen, why did you offer them so many presents? Such a waste. Chapter 482. Disrespect. Ms. Yen smiled. Mom, they are our relatives, the eldest uncle's family. It is always better to have a good relationship than hold a grudge, right? That wasn't too much for me. Also, Xiling approved of it too. Ms. Yen did not tell Ms. Niu about this, but she discussed it with her husband. Xiao Xiling had not wanted to do so. But Ms. Yen intentionally whispered something sweet and warm to Xiao Xiling, who turned totally dumb and nodded in the end. Ms. Niu glared at Xiao Xiling, while her anger towards Ms. Yen disappeared. Well? Xiao Xiling scratched his head. He did not know how to explain it to his mother. Ms. Yen smiled. Mom, my husband expects to have a good relationship between the 2 families too, right? Everything is fine. Let's just drop it. Ms. Niu snorted and warned Xiao Xiling. Watch out in the future. We can drop it for now. What else could they do since the presents were already given away? Ms. Yen smiled and started another topic. She was now officially a member of the Xiao family. Ms. Yen and Xiao Sanlang returned to her mother's home after 3 days of the wedding. Ms. Niu was stingy and did not offer much as return presents. She only gave her 2 chickens, 2 rolls of cheap tea, which almost killed her. Ms. Yen was very displeased inside her head but said nothing. Instead, she and Xiao Xiling went into the town and bought 2 jars of wine, 3 kgs of noodles, 1 kg of pastry and 3 kgs of pork belly. Then Ms. Yen said in a wrongful tone to her husband, Mom has given us so little. It is such a humiliation for us. You are the son-in-law, what would my family think of you? I am helping you keep up the reputation. We are a couple, right? I am earning your reputation for your sake. Xiao Xiling felt both guilty and moved without knowing what to say. He was now totally on Ms. Yan's side. Ms. Yan added a few more sentences so he felt even more inclined towards her. Ms. Yan was satisfied and smiled. Since we have added things on our own to the return presents, don't tell parents about this. Otherwise Mom will blame me again. Xiao Xiling shook his head. Yeah, we must keep it a secret. Don't worry, I won't tell. He knew clearly what his mother was like. That made Ms. Yen feel even more happy. She was not trying to start a war with her mother-in-law, but she really could not respect her mother-in-law. She was married to Xiao Xiling and expected to live a peaceful life. She did not care about what others thought, but Xiao Xiling had to take her side and obey her words. She was quite surprised about the terrible relationship between the second section of the family and the first section of the family, which she found out recently. Luckily, Xiao Xiling had not offended the first section of the family like his parents. So, she could come up with some solutions to improve the relationship. She really thought that the second section of the family and third section of the family were stupid. They could take advantage of the first section of the family in the past, but henceforth, they needed to stay humble and try to have a good relationship with the first section of the family. They needed to be capable enough to counter them, but they had no abilities. They did not want to admit their foolishness either. Instead, they kept causing trouble for themselves. So horrible. She did not care about the third section of the family, and she did not care what the second section of the family wanted. But they should not stop her from doing whatever she wanted to do. Otherwise, she would separate herself from the family. She was from a capable family like the Yin family, who should not be offended easily. Chapter 483. Unwillingness. The Yin family had finally married off their daughter. When she visited her family, the Yin family looked forward to seeing her again. Her mother swept her into her arms, crying and touching her face. "You have lost weight." Ms. Yan's father, however, got really pleased seeing them come home with so many presents. He patted Xiao Xiling's shoulders, smiling. "You are just too polite. We are a family and you don't have to give us so many presents. But I am still glad that you have many gifts with you today. It means that you think my daughter is important. What matters above all is that you live a great life. You don't have to bring so many presents next time, remember?" The two sons of the Yin family all nodded in agreement, smiling brightly. Xiao Xiling smiled back, wiping the sweat drops on his forehead. It was all because his wife fixed it for him. She bought the presents with her own money so that he would not be humiliated or scolded by his father-in-law and brothers-in-law. Xiao Xiling now was completely subdued by his wife. His wife treated him so well. The three men of the Yin family were talking with Xiao Xiling whilst Ms. Yin and her mother exchanged a few private words. Hearing that Ms. Yin was living a good life at the Xiao family, everyone smiled. The family had prepared a delicious lunch for them, including stewed chicken, stewed mutton, and pork belly with tofu. They even bought some braised fish from the restaurant and opened a jar of vintage wine just to receive their son-in-law. Xiao Xiling felt so glad. He had never been treated so well by anyone before. He almost cheered loud in happiness when he realized that the dishes were prepared for him only. During lunchtime, the Yin family kept telling him to treat Ms. Yin well. Xiao Xiling clapped his chest, making many promises. His wife treated him so well and he was definitely going to treat her well too. On their way home, the Yin family gave them abundant presents as well, including 2 ducks, 4 pieces of smoked meat, 4 strings of smoked sausage, 2 bags of peanut candies, sesame candies, as well as 2 roasted chicken from the town. Ms. Yin loved roasted chickens and they had been bought especially for her. Since they were into the tofu business, they had prepared 2 stacks of tofu for them to take home as well. It was tender and snow-white tofu with gauze on the top, carefully placed in each grid, easy for them to carry home. The Yin family used the best beans to make the tofu and they had a reputation in the territory. Many tofu stores and restaurants ordered their tofu from them. The Yin family saw the couple off at the entrance of the village. Ms. Yan's mother almost cried seeing her daughter leaving, which also drove Ms. Yan to shed tears as well. They were not separated until a long while later. Xiao Xiling felt so stressed. He wiped his sweat and said, "Mother-in-law treats you so well." Ms. Yan smiled. "They all treat me well. I feel very unhappy to leave them." Xiao Xiling smiled. "But we don't live so far apart. You can come back whenever you want to visit them." Ms. Yin smiled and said nothing back. She would not be able to come back whenever she wanted, since she was already married. Ms. Niu was really glad to see so many things brought back. She kept asking Ms. Yin, "Are you tired? Why don't you take a break?" Then she asked Xiao Miling to pour tea for her. Chapter 484. No trouble. Her daughter-in-law was not as good as Miss Qiao, but much better than most of the daughters-in-law in the village. The Yin family was very wealthy. Look what they had sent back. Ms. Zhang felt sour, annoyed and jealous seeing Ms. Niu smiling at Ms. Yin so gently. She was rich, so what? But for the money, no one would want to marry someone with looks like hers. What was she so proud about? Her mother-in-law didn't like her, she liked her money. Ms. Zhang felt that the world was unfair, especially when both Ms. Yen and Ms. Qiao were favored because of their money. Ms. Yen soon cut a few slices of fresh tofu. Along with a roast chicken, she delivered them to the first section of the family. Eldest aunt, I brought these back from my mother's home. Please have a taste. Don't look down at them. Oh wow. You can save them for yourself. I accept your kindness, haha. Miss Fang was startled. Ms. Yen was being too generous. Ms. Niu and the family would cause a scene when they learned about this. Miss Fang did not want any trouble. After all, her family did not lack any food for the time being. Ms. Yen put down the stuff and smiled. Please, eldest aunt, you are making me feel really guilty. Before I got married, I heard that you are kind, affable and straightforward. So I respect you a lot. I'm just showing my admiration towards you. Having said that, Ms. Yen left. Ms. Fang commented lightly. Siling's wife isn't simple in mind. She smiled and sighed, saying nothing more. She understood what Ms. Yen meant. She had learned something about the relationship between the first section of the family and the second section of the family before she got married. But even if that was the case, she still respected the first section of the family. Miss Fang was in a good mood. But she could not help but feel curious. What would the second section of the family do if they learned the truth? Miss Fang put away the stuff and made up her mind. If Ms. Niu came to ask them back, she was going to return them intact. If Ms. Niu did not show up, then it meant that Ms. Yen had convinced her, which made Ms. Yen seem even more capable. Ms. Fang did not think Ms. Yen would be able to conceal it from Ms. Niu. They were living together and they would not be able to hide a secret like this. Tofu was small. But Ms. Niu could not have skipped the roasted chicken. Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Xian were both surprised when they found out about this. Yang Xiaoni's eyes were widened. Fourth sister-in-law knows how to maintain relations with people. But will the second aunt forgive her for this? Xiao Xian smiled. Well, the Yen family is rich and she is loved by her family. I guess she has her support. Miss Fang glanced at them and said, What do you think of her? Yang Xiaoni immediately reacted. She is very generous. Xiao Xian understood what her mother-in-law meant. How should they keep the relationship with her? She thought for a while and smiled. Mom, we can wait and see. Time will tell if she is pretending or is really so generous. You can't hide your true nature forever. If she is worth associating with, then we can definitely maintain relations with her. Otherwise, we don't need to care about it. Miss Fang clapped her hands. Exactly what I am thinking. Yang Xiaoni. What were they talking about? She did not get it. Ms. Niu noticed the missing roasted chicken and asked her about it. Ms. Yen never thought about concealing her actions from Ms. Niu. Chapter 485. Speechless. Sure enough. The questioning came faster than she expected. Ms. Yen was asked immediately when she returned. Ms. Yen, where is the roasted chicken? Why is it missing? Ms. Yen smiled and replied calmly. Oh, I just visited eldest aunt and gave her some tofu and roasted chicken. I also gave the third aunt some tofu and meat. What? Ms. Niu screamed. You gave them one whole roasted chicken and meat? Ms. Yen really hated her when she behaved like this. But she put on a calm look and smiled. Yes. Eldest aunt helped us before and I am just paying them back. We are relatives. We should interact with each other sincerely. Isn't that right, second sister-in-law? Ms. Zhang sneered. Hearing that Ms. Yen was seeking confirmation from her, she thought that Ms. Yen was dragging her down so they could bear the vented anger from their mother-in-law together. She was not going to do that. Ms. Zhang defended herself instantly. Fourth sister-in-law, you are wrong. The first section of the family is stingy and treats us badly. They don't share their money with us. We are not cordial with each other any longer. But you delivered food to them? That is a big mistake. Ms. Niu nodded and was about to say something, when Ms. Yen interrupted. You are wrong, second sister-in-law. Eldest aunt and uncle helped us a lot in the past, which was seen by the whole village. How can you say such things about them? Ms. Zhang sneered. You also know that it was in the past. Ms. Yen. Favor is a favor. The first section of the family has their life to spend, and we are also a family where everyone is healthy. We can do everything ourselves too. If they want to offer some help, that is kind of them. If they don't want to, that is totally alright as well. After all, they don't owe us anything, right? We are cousins with the same grandparents, isn't it good to be together? If you keep relying on them for help and want them to work for us for free, nobody would offer the help constantly. Honestly, second sister-in-law, do you want to work for the first section of the family without payment? Ms. Zhang felt that Ms. Yen was mocking her. She snapped. You know nothing as a newly wedded bride. I was giving you some insights, but now you are trying to teach me a lesson? You should know what our family is like, else you can ask Mom about it. Ms. Yen said, Mom talks sensibly and logically. I may not know about our family, but this is a principle that doesn't change irrespective of the people. Ms. Zhang sneered. Speak with Mom about this then. Ms. Knight. Ms. Niu opened her mouth but felt a little bit too embarrassed to say anything. Ms. Yen, you don't know anything about family affairs. Anyways, let's just drop it this time. Ask me next time before you act, okay? When your grandparents-in-law passed away, your eldest uncle promised to help us. You can't just ignore the promise. That is their fault if they break the promise. Look at the house they have now, how wonderful. They ignore us when they have money. That won't work. Ms. Yen. She was speechless. Whatever she said just now did not have any impact. How should they expect the first section of the family to take care of them? They had their own grandchildren already. Ms. Yen did not answer Ms. Niu directly but smiled. Mom, don't worry. I only do things which I think I should do. We should be sensible, right? Chapter 486. Instigation about dowry. Ms. Niu thought that she had agreed to what she instructed. So she nodded and said, let's eat dinner. Ms. Zhang, what are you waiting for? Go and prepare dinner. Ms. Zhang was completely annoyed. Ms. Yen was the newly wedded daughter-in-law and she should work, not her. Ms. Zhang sneaked a glance at Ms. Yen, indicating that she should offer to make dinner. If Ms. Yen understood the rules, she would take over now. But Ms. Yen ignored her glance and greeted Ms. Niu before heading back to her room. Ms. Niu scolded Ms. Zhang for not complying with her wishes. Ms. Zhang lowered her head and left angrily. She cursed Ms. Yen inside her heart. Ms. Yen had made up her mind to hang out with the first section of the family. When she was not that busy, she would visit the first section of the family whenever she had time. Ms. Niu did not like it at the beginning, but Ms. Yen said that she was a newly wedded daughter-in-law who should hang out with neighbors and relatives. She said that she could even try to see what the first section of the family was busy with. Maybe they could learn about how to make a fortune. Ms. Niu felt that her words made sense. So she ignored her visits after that. Ms. Yen was good with needles and threads. Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni were both bad at it. So was Miss Qiao, who could not even make the salts. Ms. Fang spoke highly of Ms. Yan's skills of needles and threads, to which Ms. Yen smiled modestly and offered that she could teach Tao Tao. Miss Fang was happy about it. She accepted the offer readily. In this way, Ms. Yen spent even more time at the first section of the family's home. 4 days, Ms. Yen was having a good time with the first section of the family, and Tao Tao improved a lot under her guidance. She liked this patient and gentle cousin-in-law. Miss Su was a little defensive, but she did not think this girl was up to anything bad. Xiao Xian and Miss Fang felt that Ms. Yen seemed to be a little different from the others in the second section of the family. Miss Fang sighed. Xiling was an alright husband. But Ms. Niu and the second son of the family were really annoying. She wondered if Ms. Yen could tolerate living with them for long. Though it seemed that Ms. Niu could not control her, which Miss Fang found to be strange. Ms. Yen taught Tao Tao how to work the needles and threads, so Miss Fang asked her to stay for lunch. Ms. Yen had turned down the offer in the beginning, but started staying back later on. The food served at the first section of the family was much better than that at the second section of the family. Even a single dish of cooked vegetables had a lot of taste, which made Ms. Yen feel so jealous. Yang Xiaoni was bad at needles and threads, but the materials used by her were excellent. Tao Tao had many things with her, which made Ms. Yen feel even more envious. She swore to herself that she was going to live a better life. One day when Ms. Yen returned home, she heard her second sister-in-law whispering to her mother-in-law. She leaned forward and tried to hear the conversation. After a while, she frowned and got really furious. Ms. Zhang, that bitch, was trying to make her mother-in-law take away her dowry. She knew what kind of family Ms. Zhang was from. Ms. Yen, who grew up in a family filled with love, just did not understand how a man could be so useless that he had to be supported by his married sisters. In her opinion, a man should be able to support the whole family, protect his parents, his wife and siblings. Girls should not have to do anything like this. They should just have fun. Chapter 487. Uncomfortable. She had felt sorry for Ms. Zhang early on and looked down upon Ms. Zhang's brother. But after she came to this place, Ms. Zhang was very hostile towards her, so she decided not to befriend her. Since she hated her, why must she suck up to her? She would just stay away from her. After the senior people in the family were gone, they were going to live separately and all they needed to do was to act politely when seeing each other. But Ms. Zhang was so terrible. She even tried to instigate mother-in-law to use her dowry. Her dowry was not as generous as that of some nobly born lady. But her parents and brothers adored her and had given her a lot of things. She had 2 sets of silver pieces, 20 sets of garments as well as other things and 30 liang in the bottom of the box. None of these could be moved or used easily. Ms. Yen clenched her teeth and left quietly. She did not go to the first section of the family. Instead, she made a big fuss sorting her dowry, intentionally drawing the attention of Ms. Zhang and Ms. Niu. Ms. Zhang felt so sour and sneered, with a mocking smile on her face. "You have got a lot of dowry, haven't you? Very lucky." Then she started to mutter inside her head, thinking that none of these would belong to her soon. She did not like it when the dowry would reach their mother-in-law. But Ms. Zhang would still be happy that Ms. Yen would have nothing left. These words were exactly what Ms. Yen was waiting for. As long as she mentioned the word dowry, Ms. Yen had the way to continue with the story. Ms. Yen smiled insincerely. "My parents prepared the dowry for me. My mother said that dowry is the biggest guarantee for married girls, and that everything in a girl's dowry box should be neatly put away and not be used unless the whole family is starving. I was not very good at sorting things when I was at my parents' home. But now I have arranged it finally. My mom says that she will come to check my dowry every now and then. If she finds out that my stuff is not well sorted or kept well as she told me, she is going to discipline me. My mom is really fierce. I have to obey her." Ms. Niu suddenly turned really uncomfortable. Ms. Zhang felt that something weird was going on. She thought that Ms. Yen was referring to her but she could not prove it. Before she could say anything, Ms. Yen smiled at her. "Second sister-in-law, can I ask you how to sort the dowry well? How do you keep your dowry? Should I put things in separate boxes and move them out every now and then and check if there are bugs or anything? Second sister-in-law, tell me some good methods so that I can learn too." Ms. Zhang's face changed. She had no dowry? The rags she had were all delivered to the tailor and she had nothing left. Ms. Niu looked even more uncomfortable. Ms. Zhang had no words to say when Ms. Niu's face became ugly. Moreover, it would be very strange if she tried to get involved with Ms. Yan's dowry discussion. Ms. Niu knew pretty well how the Yen family loved Ms. Yen as their daughter. She had also made the promise of adoring her, which was why the Yen family decided to marry her to their family. The Yen family could not be offended easily. Also, Ms. Yen looked like someone with ideas too. What if Ms. Yan's mother really checked her dowry when she came over and found that something was missing? Things would be really horrible at that time. Chapter 488. Your intention. Ms. Yen sneered inwardly but showed no expression on her face. She smiled apologetically and went to sort her dowry boxes. Ms. Zhang was so angry. She snapped. "I have no dowry and I have nothing to give Mom. But you are different, fourth sister-in-law. You are trying to shut Mom up. You are so stingy. Look at the fifth sister-in-law. She offers her things to cousins and eldest aunt all the time." "Just shut up." Ms. Niu snapped. "You also know that you have nothing to give me, right? I have never asked you to. As long as you don't move stuff to your family, I would be assured." Ms. Niu suddenly realized that even though Ms. Yen did not offer her dowry, she would at least not take things to her own family. The Yen family were very generous in giving out stuff, and they would benefit more in the future. She did not have to eye her daughter-in-law's dowry now. They could talk about this in the future. Like she said, she would offer it when their family ran into problems. Ms. Zhang, who had tried to irritate Ms. Yen, got lectured by Ms. Niu instead. She felt furious but could not counter her. So she nodded timidly. Ms. Zhang went to the garden to pick vegetables, and Ms. Yen followed behind, smiling at her. "Hello, second sister-in-law." Ms. Zhang was startled. She clapped her chest to calm herself down. She glared at Ms. Yen and responded sarcastically. "You are here, fourth sister-in-law. What are you doing here? Mom gives me so much work to do but nothing to you. Did you find that unfair, so you came to help me share the burden?" Ms. Yen smiled. "Mom has her own reasons to arrange our workloads. You can speak with her if you are not happy about it. There is no point in talking about it with me. It is not up to you to judge whether I work or not. I don't think I am doing anything wrong." Ms. Zhang did get much more work to do as per Ms. Niu's arrangement. But Ms. Yen was not idling around either. The Yen family loved their daughter but they had raised her well. That was why the Yen family did not marry her off earlier. They thought that she was very nice and smart. Ms. Yen did not think that Ms. Niu was wrong in getting her to do extra work, since Ms. Zhang kept thinking about stealing stuff from her husband's home and giving them to her own home. Ms. Zhang turned furious and threw the basket on the floor. She said coldly, "What do you want, Yen Jiao? That is my question to you, second sister-in-law. Ms. Yan's smile faded. Her face turned cold and she said, I have just got married and never offended you. Why are you so hostile towards me? You even asked Mom to take control of my dowry. What is your intention, second sister-in-law? Ms. Zhang's face changed immediately. I heard your conversation. Ms. Yan sneered. I am not giving my dowry away to anyone, so second sister-in-law, drop your idea. You don't have to like me and we can just go separate ways. But if you ever dare to play tricks behind my back, I will let you know what I am capable of. Having said that, Ms. Yan threw a cold glance at her and left. Ms. Zhang shivered with anger. How dare she? This bitch, this arrogant bitch. Ms. Zhang was angry at Ms. Yan and the first section of the family too. The first section of the family must have taught her to behave like this, since they spent so much time together. Chapter 489. Busy spring. Ms. Yan felt quite distressed too. She came from a peaceful family and the first section of the family of the Xiao family was quite peaceful too. But her mother-in-law was stupid, and her sister-in-law was narrow-minded and jealous of her. She was so upset. She was thinking about spending 2 more years here, and then making a huge fuss to separate the families. She would rather give money and grain to her in-laws than live with them. It was just too stressful. The following day, Ms. Yan visited the first section of the family again. Xiao Xian talked about visiting the mountains the next day. She mentioned that they would be busy with a lot of things, thus won't be working with the needles and thread. The weather was getting warmer. The flower fields needed to be loosened, the gardens needed to be tidied up, and the cultivation of tea seedlings was about to begin. After all of these were done, the shiitake mushrooms, wooden ears, and snow fungus would be picked again. Also, the tea tree seedlings in the mountains would be ready to be picked. It was time to do the transplantation. The branches of the sapling fruit would also need to be cut. Spring plows should be prepared for the land at the Jianghu village, and they had to get ready to plant lotus and raise fish in the pond as well. Moreover, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan would need to visit the province again. They were going to sell dried mushrooms, wooden ears, and snow fungus this time. When they returned, the peach and apricot flowers would have bloomed. The first patch of roses would bloom as well. The spring would be a busy time for them. Especially when it came to planting trees and the creeping figs as well as lipsticks. All of these were important and big projects. They had very few people who could help. Hence, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan needed to visit the province as soon as possible so as to hire and buy some labor. When they got some time during the intervals, they would go into the mountains to walk around. Everyone except for Qi had not been there for a long while. They all kind of missed it. Even Xiao Yunduan had decided to follow along. They were all used to seeing Ms. Yan at their place these days. Feeling delighted, Tao Tao smiled at Ms. Yan. Cousin, do you want to join us? Everyone was startled hearing that. Although Ms. Yan went on well with Xiao Xian and Tao Tao, she was from the second section of the family, and there was still estrangement between them. Ms. Yan was aware of this point as well. But if Tao Tao mentioned this, it basically meant that she was being treated as a part of them. Even Tao Tao realized that she had said something wrong. Seeing Tao Tao's embarrassment, Xiao Xian smiled. Yeah, cousin, want to join us? We can have fun together. Ms. Yan nodded in delight. If you can take me, I would like to join you. She knew clearly what position Xiao Xian had in the first section of the family. Even someone as troublesome as Ms. Su was conquered, let alone others. Actually, Xiao Xian was speaking on behalf of the whole first section of the family. Tao Tao let out a sigh of relief, smiling as she gave a grateful look to Xiao Xian. It's a deal. Cousin, come early in the morning. We will be leaving early. Okay. After deciding this, they started to talk about the trip into the mountains. It was a lively conversation. Back in the room, Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. Darling, you are well-read and see things far more clearly. What do you think of this new cousin? Xiao Yunduan chuckled. You like to hang out with her. That is your gut feeling, right? The two of them exchanged a look and Xiao Xian smiled. You are too smart, which makes me feel smart as well. Chapter 490, Feeling Closer. Xiao Yunduan smiled. Cousin seems okay. The second section of the family is lucky to have her. She can control them. Xiao Xian nodded and said, yeah. We just need to talk sense with her and any matter can be solved. But second aunt and second uncle would get really annoyed because of her existence. Xiao Xian admired her cousin deeply. If she had been married to a family like that, she would have run away. Early in the morning, Ms. Yan showed up. The first section of the family had already made buns the night before and steamed them the following day. It was still cold enough to keep them from turning rancid overnight. They made sauerkraut, winter bamboo shoots with smoked meat dice stuffing, and vermicelli egg stuffing. They also steamed a lot of flour rolls with chopped green onions, and white flour steamed buns to take along for 11. Ms. Yen shared breakfast with the rest of the family and left before dawn just broke. They felt so happy to be in the mountains, which they had not been to in a long while. In this cold spring the mountains were still green. The trees had not yet grown leaves, and the dead grass had also not yet grown new leaves. But the bare branches were already densely covered with buds with a layer of cuticle. As they gently pushed away the withered grass, they could see the tender yellow buds. After just a few days the spring breeze would blow, and the buds would bloom overnight. That would be a sight of vitality and greenery. Xiao Xian's inner superpower was sensing the world outside. It was moving, accumulating power, and was ready to burst out. Everyone was talking excitedly. There were no wild vegetables to pick. So they picked some yams. Qi was put on the task to do the hunting. As always, he was very skillful. He pulled the bow and always hit the targets. Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao as well as Xiao Sanlang all cheered. They went up to pick the hunted animals. It was the first time for Ms. Yen to watch such a scene. She was startled. She was so good with bows and arrows. Honestly, with him around, the first section of the family would enjoy a good life for the rest of the days. Moreover, Xiao Yunduan had become a cultivated talent and Xiao Xian was from a family of officials. Ms. Yen was in awe of Qi and found that her in-laws were totally stupid in their heads. She was going to tell her husband not to talk ill about the first section of the family, or be calculative with them. They harvested a lot after half a day. They had dozens of wild roosters, rabbits, grouses and pigeons. Xiao Xian had seasoning spices with her, so they could eat roasted wild roosters and rabbits. As the sun shone upon them, wind blew by. It was not so cold there. Once the fire was lit, they felt nothing but warmth. They chose to start the fire close to the water source. They removed the skin and fur of the animals and soon put the wild rooster and wild rabbit into the bamboo and placed them over the fire. They had good control of the heat and put salt, homemade 5-spice powder on top of them. They spread honey twice in the middle and finally sprinkled chili powder on the skin. It looked like the skin was crispy and the meat was tender, especially delicious. Ms. Yen was not a foodie. But she could not help feeling attracted to the food. Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang could not wait to have a bite. The texture was crispy and it smelled fragrant. The roasting was well done and people just could not stop wanting to devour all of it. Chapter 491. Take it slow. Xiao Sanlang could not help but speak up. We have harvested a lot today. Fifth sister-in-law, what about doing a grill in our backyard tonight? They had been making different kinds of dishes during the new year, and they tried grilling once, which left a good impression on everyone. Now they had a spacious place, much easier to grill. Everyone nodded as they heard Xiao Sanlang's suggestion. Grilling was a lot of fun and delicious. It appealed to everyone's taste buds. No one could turn it down. Xiao Xian smiled. Okay, let's go down now. Or we will have no time to marinate the meat. Sure. Let's go home now. Seeing that everyone was laughing and cheering together, Ms. Yen smiled but felt jealous. She did not think that her own family could be as close as them. Xiao Xian smiled at her and offered, "Join us." Ms. Yen did want to join them but she shook her head and smiled. Next time. It is getting cold and it won't be okay to leave home at night. It was not a good thing for her to go to the first section of the family alone at night. She could hide it from everyone else except for her husband. But the first section of the family did not invite her husband, and she could not possibly mention it to them herself. But it was not the first section of the family's fault. The second section of the family was too annoying and unfriendly to them before. She was already quite happy that Tao Tao and Xiao Xian accepted her so fast. She could take it slow to mend the relationship. Obviously, Xiao Xian and her family had thought about this as well. So they did not insist. On the way home, they dug up some fresh yams, winter bamboo and went home with the harvest. Xiao Xian felt a bit sad about the lack of fresh vegetables. It was not time to eat different kinds of wild vegetables. When spring came, they could eat ferns, spring bamboo shoots, mushrooms, dandelion seedlings, shepherd's purse, Chinese tunes, wild onions, wild leeks, cress, etc. Back at home, Miss Fang smiled. You are back early today. Oh, you got so many things. Xiao Sanlang smiled. We came home early to grill. Miss Fang laughed. No wonder you are home early. You are greedy for delicious food. It must have been your idea. Everyone laughed. It was always Xiao Sanlang who came up with the idea about food. Ms. Fang picked 3 winter bamboos, 1 wild rooster and 1 wild rabbit to let Ms. Yen take back home. Ms. Yen turned her down, but Ms. Fang smiled. You can't go home empty-handed, right? We have many things, just take them. Ms. Yen thanked her and left. When Ms. Yen was gone, they started to do a series of labor work, including boiling water to remove hair, picking vegetables from the garden, preparing charcoal fire and wire, as well as lighting up the stove. Ms. Z's belly had not yet stuck out. This baby did not stir up a lot of trouble in her stomach, so she was fine and could eat all kinds of things. Xiao Xian and Qi started to prepare the grill, which attracted Ms. Z's attention, who helped with preparations as well. They had 13 wild roosters, 8 wild rabbits, roosters and pigeons, and 5 other big wild birds. They gave away 2 to Ms. Yen but still had many left. They could not finish them in one go. So, Xiao Xian decided to salt them and hang them up to turn them into smoked food. Only when they were smoked could they be kept for a longer time. Chapter 492. Disapproval. They used 2 roosters and a rabbit and cut them into different slices. The meat was marinated with seasoning for the grill. They even marinated wings, chicken stomachs and feet, so everyone was able to have a portion each. They picked several 3-finger-wide crucian carps for marination as well. There were a few quibs as well added in. Apart from the meat dishes, they also prepared a few vegetables, including fresh shiitake mushrooms, leeks, winter bamboo shoot slices, winter melon slices, pumpkin slices, yam slices, Chinese cabbages, etc. To avoid the grill getting too oily, they chopped the roosters and pigeons into 4 big dices and marinated them with ginger and cooked wine for porridge. Xiao Xian made the seasoning. In the evening they started the fire for the grill. The 2 stoves were covered with wire, and pieces of marinated meat were roasted on them. Soon the meat started to sizzle and smelled great. Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing were walking around eagerly waiting to eat. They could hear laughter in the backyard. Ms. Niu was very happy to see Ms. Yen bringing wild roosters and rabbits as well as bamboo home. Ms. Yen said that she bought them from eldest aunt, who sold them at a very low price. She even gave her the winter bamboos. Hearing that some money was spent, Ms. Niu felt heartbroken. She complained in an annoyed voice. Your eldest aunt is bullying you. She even asked you for money. Ms. Yen was speechless. She forced a smile and said, Mom, eldest aunt did not want it, but I insisted. We can't always take free things from them, right? I would not give away things for free if they ask me all the time as well. Also, it is really cheap. Let's cook the rooster with winter bamboo and leave the rabbit for tomorrow night. Ms. Knight. She did not like what Ms. Yen said, but she did not counter her. But when she thought that she did not pay herself and Ms. Yen did it for her sake, so she decided not to continue discussing it. She still added, Don't be so silly next time. Chi can hunt and he can share stuff with us easily. We don't need to pay them. Ms. Yen smiled. I am going to cook now. Ms. Yen found the whole concept so strange. How could someone take things without paying and still find it reasonable? But she could not say anything against her mother-in-law, though she disapproved of her behavior. But she could say something to her husband. The next day Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian went to the Jianghu village. They visited Ding Erju and his wife as well as a few tenants, discussing plowing when spring arrived. Then they met the land officer at the Jianghu village, informing him that the creeping figs and tea trees would be ready for cutting. This was the right time. It was neither cold nor hot, and the cuttings and transplanting would not lose water. After the first spring rain they could quickly revive, take root and germinate. Also, Xiao Xian was surely going to take care of those plants with her superpower. They would survive and grow well. The villagers were willing to make some money for the early spring plow. Xiao Xian asked the villagers to apply at Ding Erzu's place. There were 10 vacancies maximum, 1 from each family until the positions were filled. The villagers would do the cutting, whilst the tenants would do transplanting. When the arrangement was done, they went into the mountains to dig tea tree seedlings and cut the creeping figs. They asked only their own people to do the work, rather than anyone outside the family. Chapter 493. Rolling eyes. Xiao Yunduan had become very confident after learning from Master Yun for so many days. He was a smart person to begin with and he could pick up things fast. During this period, Xiao Yunduan went to help with the digging of tea tree seedlings as well. Eventually, Xiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Sanlang and his wife, Xiao Dalong and Qi as well as Tao Tao were all there. Miss Su would have joined them as well if she was not pregnant. She really wished to make money but she was pregnant so she dropped the idea. Eldest uncle did not know what Xianxia was up to. But seeing that they were going out, he said, "If you need any help, get Erlang and Xiling to help you. Myling could be helpful too if Tao Tao is with you." Xiao Sanlang could not help but roll his eyes. Xiao smiled. "We are not short of laborers, thanks, eldest uncle." He suspected that Xiao was doing that on purpose, but he had no evidence for that. The places where golden sprouts and lavenders grew had many tea tree seedlings. So, they dug them out, tied them up and transported them on the donkey carts to the Jianghu village and passed them on to the tenants. The days were not yet warm, and Xiao decided to wait a little longer for the seedlings to be planted. They did not have many tea tree seedlings. Hence, they spent 4 days digging everything that could be dug away. They had 5 mu of golden sprouts and 3 mu of lavender at the Jianghu village. These tea seedlings could be picked this autumn, and Xiao thought that the effort was worth it. It was a test for the tea processors to train themselves so the whole process could be smooth henceforth. It will soon rise to a certain scale next year. With her superpower as the assistant, they would definitely have a lot of tea leaves next year. They had just finished digging when Xiao Dalong was summoned to the meeting. They were going to fix the main canal, and that's why Land Officer Ding gathered everyone for the meeting. As a result, Xiao Dalong did not join them to dig the creeping figs. There were 3 main canals in the village. All the water for irrigation of paddy fields was brought through these 3 main canals. The largest and longest main canal had not been repaired for many years, and it was high time. When the land officer mentioned it, no one objected. Therefore, all the households involved in the irrigation of the main canal would provide labor and take turns to repair it. The first section of the Xiao family also had a field to draw water from the canal, so Xiao Dalong had to repair it too. It would take 3 days. Xiao Xian and the others continued to go into the mountains to cut the creeping figs, whilst Xiao Dalong went to fix the canal. This work was much easier and faster than digging seedlings. They cut a certain amount, sent it to the Jianghu village in 1 day and had it cut into pieces of more than 20 centimeters. The amount of cuttings in a day was enough to cover 10 mu. At this rate, they would only need 5 days to finish the work. Xiao Xian asked Xiao Yunduan to stop during the last 3 days. "There is only a little work left and we have enough help. You should stay at home and study." Xiao Yunduan could help when they were very busy but not all the time. He was about to have lessons with Master Yun, thus he agreed. "Then you should take it slow. We have enough time to complete this." Xiao Xian smiled and agreed. But not long after they returned home, someone rushed to them and said, "Dalong passed out because a stone hit his legs." Chapter 494. Care. Everyone's face changed. Miss Su almost passed out, but was supported by Yang Xiaoni at the last minute. Xiao Xian asked in a calm manner. "Just the legs, right? Nothing else?" "It is fine, we can hire a doctor if he suffers from pain. Don't worry, elder sister-in-law." Yes. Miss Fang nodded as she saw the messenger. "My son is okay otherwise, isn't he?" That man felt a little scared seeing Miss Su getting frightened. After all, it was a pregnant woman. If something happened to the baby, the first section of the family would kill him for bringing that message. He said, "No, nothing else. Just the stone that hit his legs." Xiao Xian thanked him swiftly and said, "Mom, let third brother and Chi get him home now. I will go with Tao Tao into the town to fetch a doctor. Just console elder sister-in-law and tell her he will be fine." Xiao Yunduan had taken the donkey cart when he went to Master Yun's place. Xiao Sanlang was always the one driving, but he was helping Xiao Xian with the creeping fig this time around, and hence did not follow him into the town. Miss Fang calmed herself down. Okay, you should head off now. Third and Chi, hurry up. Miss Su, don't worry, he just hurt his legs, nothing else. We are villagers who would inevitably get wounded sometimes." Xiao Xian and Tao Tao left in a hurry. Miss Su let out a sigh of relief, forcing a smile. "You are right, Mom. I'm fine." Soon Ms. Yen hurried in. "Elder Aunt, anything I can do to help?" "Don't worry, he's a lucky guy and he should be fine. Also, stones used for the canals would not be too big and he would not be so badly injured." Although that might not be the truth, yet Miss Fang and Miss Su felt assured hearing some reassuring words. They nodded and threw a grateful look at Ms. Yen. Miss Fang asked Ms. Yen to keep Miss Su company along with taking care of Xiao Junyan and Xiao Dalong, whilst she went into the kitchen to boil water. She was waiting for Xiao Dalong to return and tried hard to press down the anxiety. Soon Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma as well as Ms. Zhang came over. Everyone expressed their concerns. "Dalong's leg should be fine, right? He should have been more careful. Is he badly injured? He may not be able to do the spring plow if he is injured." He passed out in pain. Not sure if that is true. Don't worry. He's alive, right? You just need some treatment. And even if he is handicapped, you can still survive without him, right? Miss Fang got so annoyed that she wanted to drive them out. Just stop showing your concern and go make your food. I am too busy to receive you here. Did they have any idea what they were talking about? They might as well shut. She was not in a mood to argue with them, but she got very angry hearing what they said. Ms. Yen was speechless. She knew that her brainless mother-in-law would say something stupid. So, she had asked her mother-in-law not to come along with her, and she could just pass on the message. But, she still came. Sure enough, she talked nonsense. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma did not dare to irritate Ms. Fang anymore at the moment. Chapter 495. Result: if Ms. Fang got annoyed and drove them away, they would suffer. Seeing Ms. Yen keep Ms. Su company, Ms. Zhang felt very uncomfortable, but she still smiled. Let me stay with my cousin as well. Ms. Fang threw a glance at her and said, Ms. Yen is enough. You can leave. Ms. Zhang felt so annoyed inside her heart. She was looking down at her. She forced a smile. Eldest aunt, let me stay and free up fourth sister-in-law's hands. She is still too young to understand anything. I can keep my cousin company. Ms. Yen knows her well. Ms. Fang turned impatient. I have no time to argue with you. Just leave. Ms. Yen added in a calm tone. Second sister-in-law, just go home to make food for mom. I can take care of my cousin. Don't worry. Ms. Yen was trying to help Ms. Zhang get rid of the embarrassment. But Ms. Zhang did not appreciate it. She felt that Ms. Yen was mocking and sneering at her and showing off in front of her. She threw a glare at Ms. Yen and left quietly. She was filled with anger inside her heart. She felt jealous and annoyed. She was mistreated so badly. In her opinion, it was because Ms. Yen was richer than her. Ms. Yen was treated well by both her mother-in-law and the first section of the family. They just knew how to take advantage of others. All these people should suffer one day. They were the bad ones. Xiao Xian and Tao Tao managed to rent a bull cart to travel into the town. They kept urging the uncle to drive faster. The driver also understood that they were in need of a doctor at the moment. But the bull cart could not go too fast. As they reached the town, Xiao Xian spoke with manager Qin from Mingren Tang, who packed up his stuff and went out with the page boys, even though it was closing time. Tao Tao and Xiao Xian as well as the doctor and page boy went in the wagon, whilst the uncle drove the bull cart alone and slowly. When they arrived home, it was bustling in the room. Everyone was present, talking about things. Xiao Yunduan and Qi were waiting for them at the gate and finally saw them return. Fifth brother. How is elder brother? Tao Tao almost shed tears. Xiao Yunduan said gently, elder brother has woken up. He is all right. Dr. Qin, please this way. They heard the arrival of the doctor and spared the way for him. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged a glance and reminded Ms. Fang, seeing so many people around. Ms. Fang brought herself back and thanked everyone present, driving them away. Xiao Yunduan asked the crowd to go out and Xiao Sanlang helped to drive them away as well. They left seeing that the doctor was here and it was getting late in the day. It also seemed that the Xiao family did not need much help. They did not want to be in the way at this time. Second uncle and third uncle were still waiting for the diagnosis. Dr. Qin checked Xiao Dalong's wounds and his heart skipped a beat. He was experienced and did not reveal his inner thoughts easily. Third uncle could not wait and asked, how is it, Dr. Qin, can my nephew keep his leg? Many people say that it is a severe injury. Miss Fang shouted furiously. Just shut up. Chapter 496. Nice words, third uncle said unhappily. Eldest sister-in-law, you can't vent anger on us. I'm simply telling the truth. We can't ignore the facts. Just get out of here. Now. Miss Fang turned furious, pushing third uncle out of the room despite other guests being present there. Third uncle snapped. What are you doing? I am concerned about my nephew. I can't change the truth no matter what I say, you are just so confused. Get out of here. Eldest brother, look at this. Please leave. Xiao Yunduan said coldly, don't disturb Dr. Qin while treating my elder brother. Otherwise we will not spare you. Yes. You are simply talking nonsense, why should we be nice to you? We don't need your care. Xiao Sanlang and the brothers went up and glared at third uncle. Eldest uncle stopped Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Yunduan, sighing. Please leave now. We can take care of Dalong here and we will keep you updated. Your eldest sister-in-law is just very anxious, please don't hold a grudge against her. Miss Fang sneered and spat at them. Xiao Sanlang and his brothers pushed them out. Third uncle and second uncle got annoyed, cursing that the family was heartless in the face of their concern. They finally left in anger. Seeing the scene, Ms. Yin got up and waved them goodbye automatically. Miss Fang nodded and said gently, "Thanks for your help today." "You are welcome." "My pleasure." When the outsiders were gone, everyone turned nervous as they turned to Manager Qin. Xiao Xian had already told Manager Qin about Ms. Zu's pregnancy. She said that if the situation was bad, he should share the truth privately. Manager Qin examined Xiao Dalong's calf, which was in a terrible situation. It might have been broken to a serious degree, and he might be limping from this day on. His right leg would not be strong enough to stand any heavy work. Also, during the change of seasons it might hurt every time. Manager Qin sighed emotionally. But he felt that the Xiao family had a good status and Xiao Yunduan was a cultivated talent whilst Xiao Xian could make a lot of money. So, one limping laborer might not cause any problems for the family's livelihood. But he was going to be handicapped henceforth. That was a hurtful thing for all. He should be fine soon. Just take a good rest and wait for the injury to recover. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged a look. Their hearts sank. Manager Qin was making a vague statement. They understood what he meant. Miss Fang and the others did not notice the slight difference. They looked cheerful and smiled in relief. For real? That is great. I know he will be fine. Elder brother, don't worry. Just take a good rest. I am sure you will get better soon. Yeah, elder sister-in-law, don't worry. Xiao Dalong let out a sigh of relief and turned to Miss Su, who had a pale face, smiling and nodding. Thank you all for looking after me. Elder brother, you are being too polite. That is true. Miss Su smiled too. Her eyes were wet and she felt grateful and moved. They were lucky to have escaped. Manager Qin put an ointment and rebandaged Xiao Dalong's wound. He wrote some prescriptions and medical herbs for Xiao Dalong to eat and put on his legs. He had many medicines with him for leg treatment. Chapter 497. Not good. In a few days they needed to go into the town to fetch another portion of medicine. Otherwise, Manager Qin could come to check on him after 5 days. They could just use the medicine they had right now till then. Miss Fang insisted that Manager Qin should come and check him again. The Xiao family would gladly pay for the medical bills and fare. Manager Qin nodded. He needed to go back to the town and waved goodbye to the first section of the family. The gate of the town was closed at this hour. But he was the doctor, so he had the special right to be allowed inside. All he needed to do was to show the patrol soldiers his identity card and to write down on the register what he had done and where he had been to. The first section of the family thanked him gratefully. Miss Chiao told Miss Fang that she had already paid him. Just rest well, Mom? Miss Fang nodded and sighed. Good child. You have had a long day too. I will give the money to you later. Xiao Xian nodded and walked out with Xiao Yunduan, Manager Qin and his page boys. Manager Qin. Manager Qin sighed slightly, knowing that these two had already understood what he meant. He said in a small voice, I am sorry, but Dalong is in a bad condition. His legs might not be well again. Xiao Yunduan's heart sank. Manager Qin, please. Tell me what we can do to make elder brother recover. We are willing to try everything. Don't worry. Manager Qin smiled bitterly. I am a doctor. I am not going to hide anything from you since you trust me. The bones of his calf and leg are seriously damaged and the tendons are injured. Even the orthopedic master who is best at bone setting can't guarantee that he can recover fully. I'm afraid. Well, he should be able to walk, except that it will not be as convenient as before, and he won't be able to do any heavy work. Xiao Yunduan's face sank. No other solution? Manager Qin shook his head slightly. Almost impossible. Xiao Xian said, Almost impossible, but there is a small possibility of recovering, right? Manager Qin did not know what to say. It can be taken as that. But full recovery was almost impossible. Xiao Xian smiled. That is good. Elder brother has always been healthy and maybe he can recover fast. He should eat well and rest well so he can get better, right? Manager Qin. Well, makes sense. Xiao Yunduan greeted him. Thanks, Manager Qin. Take care on the way. I am off now. Manager Qin greeted back and left with his page boys. Darling, elder brother will recover. Xiao Yunduan felt his heart warm. He nodded slightly. Yes, he will. I am thinking about visiting the province and asking Brother Yuezhing and Brother Xie for help, to see if any expert doctors can come and take a look at him. Xianxia was startled. She had thought about showing her abilities. After all, she managed to heal the old master of the Yuezheng family. But Xiao Yunduan's words made sense. Manager Qin told them what might happen. But they would not give up unless they tried everything. Okay then. You can go tomorrow and I will take care of the family. Don't worry. Miss Fang was in a panic mode and she might not be capable of handling things currently. No one but Xianxia could bear the responsibilities of managing the house as of now. Chapter 498. Strange. Xiao Yunduan felt much calmer. They returned to the room and heard laughter. Everyone in there believed that Xiao Dalong would be able to recover completely, thus feeling relaxed. Seeing the scene, Xianxia and Xiao Yunduan felt even worse. They just could not imagine what the family would be like if elder brother's leg never healed. Especially Miss Fang and Miss Su. Xiao Yunduan put on a relatively cheerful face and said, "Elder brother, what on earth happened today? Do you still remember?" Everyone fell silent and turned to Xiao Dalong. Miss Fang asked with her teeth clenched. "Yes, tell me. What happened? Such a thing should not have occurred." The part of the canal that Xiao Dalong was working on was not on a high place. How could a stone hit him so badly? Xiao Dalong smiled bitterly. "I wasn't paying attention. Ding Jinfa and Ding Jinkai were carrying a huge rock as they passed by the hill and got tripped. Then the rock rolled down along the hill and I failed to dodge it." Miss Fang felt so annoyed. "That is all." "Yeah, that's it." "Damn it." Miss Fang clenched her teeth. "They hurt you and they have said nothing to us? This is not done." Miss Su agreed. Xiao Yunduan said, "Let's wait until tomorrow to see what they will do. It was an accident." But Xiao Dalong was unlucky enough to have run into the Eclusie 11L. They all became less cheerful than before. Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao made dinner and they found the day had turned dark and everyone was starving. "Let's eat first." Miss Fang smiled. "Sanlang, take the food to your elder brother first and you can eat later." "Okay, Mom." Miss Su smiled. "Mom, let me do that. I am capable of such small things." Xiao Xin smiled too. "Yeah, Mom. Let the elder sister-in-law eat with the elder brother. They can keep each other company." "That sounds great," Miss Su added. Miss Fang did not oppose it. She smiled and nodded in agreement. Xiao Sanlang was a foodie. But he could take the food to his elder brother before he himself ate. Xiao Xian admired their brotherhood. There was no news overnight. The next day Xiao Yunduan left before the dawn broke. He was going to ask about doctors in the province. Xiao Yunduan did not tell Miss Fang and eldest uncle about this until this morning. It was Xiao Xian who mentioned it. They all cheered. "That is great. Dalong will be healed soon." Miss Su was so moved as she turned to Xiao Xian. "Fifth sister-in-law, thank you all." Xiao Xian smiled. "Don't mention it, elder sister-in-law. We are a family." Due to what happened to Xiao Dalong, they did not go into the mountains to cut the creeping figure. Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Xiaoqi were busy taking care of Xiao Dalong. Xiao Xian asked Tao Tao to keep her company to drive to the Zhang village and to deliver the creeping figs which they had cut the day before, so Ding Erju and the others could plant them after a few days. Second uncle and third uncle came to check on the situation early the next day. Seeing Miss Fang in a good mood, they heard Miss Fang telling them that Xiao Dalong would recover after a few days. They all nodded cheerfully and showed some care before leaving. Chapter 499. Apology. The news that Xiao Dalong would not limp was spread across the whole village. Only then did Ding Jinkai and his brother, together with their parents, came to the Xiao family to apologize with lowered heads. Miss Fang, Miss Su and Miss Chiao were really displeased, especially Miss Fang and Miss Su. They should have come to apologize the day before. But they simply rushed home after causing the accident, and Xiao Dalong was not even carried back by them. They came to apologize only after they heard that Dalong was getting better. Miss Fang sneered. "What a rare thing that you remember to drop by today. I thought you chose to forget about it." Miss Su was always quiet. But she added ironically this time. "I thought they would have been here yesterday." The two brothers of the Ding family and their parents looked very embarrassed. Ding Jinkai's mother forced a smile. "Apologies, they were too scared to face the matter. Both of us were furious with them. We scolded and beat them yesterday. But it was too late to visit you, so we come this morning. It is their fault, but please don't be mad." Miss Fang found the behavior to be disgusting. But she snorted coldly without saying anything more. Eldest uncle coughed. It was an accident. No one wanted it to happen. Dalong is doing well and you have already apologized to us, so... Miss Fang cut in. So that is it? Luckily my son is fortunate and strong. But when are you going to pay us the medical fees? Ding Jingkai and his brother as well as parents were startled. Medical fees? Yeah. Miss Fang said, my son can't just both suffer physically and spend money too. Ding Jingkai mumbled. But we have no money. And you are so rich? His parents were silent but they showed the same expression. Miss Fang got annoyed and snapped. You made a mistake and you don't even pay for the medical fees? It doesn't matter if we are rich or not. They did not do that on purpose. Xiao Xian smiled. Then, if someone does not do that on purpose they can also just offer an apology and leave? Yeah, how can that be so easy and simple? Miss Fang threw a look at them. You pay half, okay? The Ding family exchanged a look between themselves at a loss of words. They did not do it deliberately. But Xiao Dalong did get injured because of them. The Xiao family was already kind enough to let them pay half of the medical fees. There was nothing they could do if they forced them to pay the full bill. Okay, then, Jinkai's father sighed, smiling bitterly. My son's made a mistake and we will cover the fees. Miss Fang looked less annoyed and added. You can pay us Tu Liang first. I'm not overcharging you. Those are real costs. Else you can ask Manager Qin at Mingren Tang in the town about it. They believed what she said but they could not accept it. Jinkai's parents tried to look poor and pleaded with Miss Fang and eldest uncle about cutting the fees, which was turned down by Miss Fang. She did not care about the exact amount. She just did not like how it happened. Chapter 500. Decision. Her son met an unexpected accident and she was already so annoyed and concerned. She spared some part of the fees for them and they still tried to bargain? Finally it was Ding Jingkai who agreed suddenly. His parents were so anxious. But he nodded too fast and Miss Fang accepted it quickly enough for his parents to be unable to turn the table. So they had no choice but to go and fetch the money. Land Officer Ding came to visit them too. He even asked Xiao Dalong to get well and not worry about having to work for the repair of the canal anymore. That made Miss Fang and the whole family annoyed. Xiao Dalong got injured because of the canal repair work. Although they did need the canal themselves, it was a project organized by the whole village. The village should pay some respect for Xiao Dalong's injuries. Land Officer Ding did not even show up earlier. He just asked his wife to come and check it out, showing a little concern and saying that they did not need to get involved with the labor for the canal repair any longer, as if the Xiao family was taking advantage of him. He was the land officer and he was not related to the project directly. Miss Fang and the family could not do anything about it. So they dropped it. Xiao Xian still decided to do something about it. I know some acupuncture. Mom, elder brother and elder sister-in-law, if you trust me, I can do something so that you can be relieved from pain. Xiao Dalong's wound was hurting terribly and he could not stand the pain as he groaned. That was when Xiao Xian mentioned this. The external wounds were causing him so much pain, despite the anti-inflammatory drugs. Xiao Dalong had never felt so much pain before. His head was turning dizzy and his eyes were blurry. He felt that even breathing was agony for him. Hearing Xiao Xian's words he replied quickly. Please, fifth sister-in-law, thank you. Xiao Dalong sounded very determined, and both Miss Fang and Miss Su were startled. Miss Fang glanced at Xiao Xian nodding. Miss Xiao, do it. Miss Su was worried that Xiao Xian was just putting on a show. She wanted to intervene but then stopped herself. The fifth sister-in-law was just being kind. Moreover, she could not object when her mother-in-law and husband both approved of the suggestion. Fifth sister-in-law, just be careful. Don't force yourself. You are not a doctor and if you fail, it is okay. What she meant was that if she could not do anything to make her husband feel better, she could just drop it directly. Xiao Xian knew that Miss Su was worried about her husband, so even though she didn't speak nice words, Xiao Xian did not say anything about it but smiled. Xiao Xian had bought 3 silver needles from the province after the last incident. So, she managed to put on a proper show this time with them. Acupuncture was just an act. She was actually injecting superpower into Xiao Dalong's body, and was trying to heal his wound from inside. Miss Fang and Miss Su knew nothing. They were easily fooled. But she could not make Xiao Dalong recover instantly. After all, he was injured very badly. Hence, Xiao Xian concentrated her superpower on the broken bones. Gradually, he would turn better and others would link it to using good medicine and resting well, rather than suspect the strangeness of his recovery. As the superpower went into his body and caressed the pain, Xiao Dalong suddenly felt relief. He became far more relaxed. Chapter 501. The second one. Seeing the change in his expression, both Miss Fang and Miss Su became happy. It works. That is great, Miss Qiao. Take it slow. Thank you so much, fifth sister-in-law. Qiao Xian stopped after about 15 minutes. She wiped the sweat on her forehead, smiling. This is all for today. Elder brother needs a break. Xiao Dalong smiled and nodded. Thanks, fifth sister-in-law. The following day, Qiao Xian conducted the treatment again on Xiao Dalong, who started to feel hungry after the treatment. Everyone from the first section of the family got really happy. Qiao Xian let out a sigh of relief. It was good that her superpower worked. Elder brother's leg was definitely going to be fine. What Manager Qin had said would not happen. By the evening of the third day, Xiao Yunduan came back with a doctor and his disciple, accompanied by Chu Shan. They had managed to get a famous doctor from the province, and they all received the person politely. This Dr. Dong was an expert in trauma orthopedics. He was well known and used to being praised by others, so he naturally had a bit of a temper. But Dr. Dong was very friendly when he came to the first section of the family. Young Master Xie and young Master Yuezhing had both informed him about this, and he, for the sake of those two important figures, restrained his arrogance. Dr. Dong hurried to this place to check up Xiao Dalong, knowing that they were in a hurry. He smiled after checking his injuries. Don't worry, I will write a prescription and leave a portion of ointment and plaster. He should take it orally and apply it externally. You must carefully clean the wound with water every morning and night, and keep the wound clean. Also, don't let him get injured again. He should lie down and rest well. After 10 days or so, he can go down to the ground and ask someone to help him walk a few steps slowly. After 2 or 3 months of proper care, he will basically recover. However, it is best not to do heavy work for half a year. That was almost the same as what Manager Qin said. It made Miss Fang feel very relieved. She constantly expressed her gratitude. Xiao Yunduan got really surprised inwardly since he was one of the two people who had heard the truth. Manager Qin had not said the same thing. Manager Qin would never have lied to him, and he should not be less capable than Dr. Dong. Xiao Yunduan sounded skeptical. For real? Dr. Dong turned a little displeased when he was doubted by someone. He was used to being trusted implicitly. But he nodded and said calmly instead of showing any displeasure, yes. I have been working as a doctor for years and I will never make such a simple mistake. This was just an external wound. He could not stand it when he was not trusted. Xiao Yunduan suddenly realized that he had said something improper. He apologized. Sorry, Dr. Dong, I am not doubting you. It is just that I feel very worried. Thanks for your efforts, Dr. Dong. Dr. Dong relaxed after hearing his words. True, young master was just so worried about his elder brother that he could not believe what had happened. They had a great brotherhood. Dr. Dong ignored the mistake and consoled him. Don't worry, I can definitely help him recover. It was getting late. Dr. Dong and his disciple spent the night at the first section of the family. Seeing that the situation was getting better, Xiao Xian went to cook food with Tao Tao and Qi helping her. They soon had 3 dishes ready. There was stir-fried smoked meat with garlic sprouts, steamed sausage, fried winter bamboo shoots, spinach and egg soup for Dr. Dong and his disciple. Chapter 502. Relief. The smell of smoked meat and sausages was fragrant, the winter bamboo shoots were delicious and tender, and the hot spinach and egg soup made people warm and comfortable. The food made them, who had been driving the whole day, feel so refreshed. They could not help but develop good feelings towards the Xiao family. The meal just eased them up. Back in the room, Xiao Yunduan smiled and said that they could really be relieved after listening to the doctor's words. Xiao Yunduan could not understand the truth and Xiao Xian found it funny. She was not confused at all but still tried to cover it up. She explained. It is said that there is a specialization in surgery. Dr. Dong is good at treating trauma, so it is not surprising that he can diagnose more accurately than Manager Qin. Furthermore, the elder brother had just been injured on the day when Manager Qin came, so the doctor's diagnosis might not be so accurate at that time. After all, no one knows how well the elder brother's body can heal. Now it seems that it has something to do with the elder brother's physique. Perhaps the eldest brother himself tends to recover easily. Xiao Yunduan thought what Xiao Xian said made sense. But something seemed amiss after pondering over it. He might have overthought about this. Thankfully it was all good now. Xiao Yunduan slightly relaxed and nodded with a smile. You are right, darling. Dr. Dong and his disciple left early the next morning, since the patient's situation wasn't urgent. Xiao Xian conducted 2 more days of acupuncture, and after the medication from the new doctor, Xiao Dalong felt much better. His wounds still ached and there was inflammation, but the pain did not cause him too much discomfort. It was bearable. Xiao Dalong was so grateful and kept thanking Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Oh yes, fifth sister-in-law, I can just stay here and rest. You can do whatever you want. Don't bother about me. I am sorry that I can't help you now. That is okay. Xiao Yunduan smiled. We can take it slow with our work. Elder brother, just focus on your recovery. Seeing that Xiao Dalong was doing well, Xiao Xian and the others went into the mountains to cut the creeping figs. Xiao Xian did not allow Xiao Yunduan to tag along. He was not needed for the remaining work. It should turn out well. Xiao Xian and Xiao Sanlang, Yang Xiaoni, Tao Tao and Qi spent 3 days gathering enough creeping figs. Then their work would be sorting flower fields, digging the soil and removing weeds. They hired Xiao Dali and a few others from the village for help, together with Yang Xiaoni, Qi and Tao Tao who supervised the work. They only hired people with sealed lips. The hired workers saw a house inside the flower field and got curious, but they stopped prying when Tao Tao said that it was a place for them to take a break and appreciate flowers. No one saw the whole set of tools of lipsticks inside, thus saying nothing. The whole village soon learned about the hiring. Xiao Xian hired 3 families including Xiao Dali, who were paid 30 won each. It was a great deal. Everyone in the village got really jealous about it. The second and third section of the family were furious. But they thought of how they owed them the free labor. They gave up making a fuss since they did not want to work for the first section of the family for no payment. Moreover, Miss Fang was not in a good mood these days due to Xiao Dalong's accident. So, the other sections of the family did not dare to cause any trouble. Chapter 503, Astorium. Zhang still tried to make a fuss, sneering in front of Ms. Yan. Aren't you visiting the first section of the family every day and sucking up to them? I thought they were nice to you. But look, you are nothing in their eyes. Ms. Yan chuckled. I am not sure what you mean, second sister-in-law. They treat me nicely. We are relatives, but I never thought about getting any benefits from them. So, you are worrying unnecessarily. Ms. Zhang snorted, sounding disdainful. She believed that it was Ms. Yan who didn't want to admit it. Ms. Yan did not want to argue with Ms. Zhang over this point. She had no interest in explaining it any further to Ms. Zhang. She did not care what Ms. Zhang thought about her relationship with the first section of the family. It was none of her business anyway. Ms. Yan still visited the first section of the family every day. Sometimes the visit was a little longer, sometimes a little shorter. But she was always there. The cutting of the creeping figs was completed within 2 days. Xiao Xian went to visit the Jianghu village again. Accompanied by Ding Erju and his wife, they went to survey the field of the creeping figs as well as the tea forest. She claimed that she wanted to see how the creeping figs in the trees were growing, whilst in fact, she was trying to put her superpower into the plants. Otherwise, the trees were withering and the creeping figs might not survive. Xiao Xian pretended to be tired and took a break, during which time she silently exerted her superpower, bringing vitality to the plants. Xiao Xian could sense that the trees that had been running out of water were already growing back at a very high speed. The creeping figs had full buds and found roots underground, that made Xiao Xian feel assured. She was going to exert one more burst of her superpower so the plants should grow better. Back at home, she ran into Ms. Yan, Ms. Fang and Ms. Su having a nice conversation. Xiao Xian walked in and greeted them as she turned to the backyard to wash hands. Fifth sister-in-law, Ms. Yan followed up. Xiao Xian looked up at her, smiling. Hi, second sister-in-law. Ms. Yan looked hesitant. But she lowered her voice. I need to tell you something. Xiao Xian was surprised. Ms. Yan was a cautious person. She must have been bothered by something when she hesitated with her words. Come to my place. Xiao Xian led Ms. Yan to the east wing of her yard. Ms. Yan let out a big sigh as if she were making a big decision. She said to Xiao Xian in a low voice, I bumped into Land Officer Ding and Widow Sun talking in the bamboo forest near Widow Sun's garden. I was close by, but they did not notice me. Ms. Yan happened to be in the neighborhood area near Widow Sun's home yesterday afternoon, when she was picking vegetables. Ms. Yan saw some winter bamboos in the forest, thus hoping to try some luck. Unexpectedly, her luck wasn't with her. She did not find the winter bamboos, but accidentally ran into the affairs of Land Officer Ding and Widow Sunday. Ms. Yen got so frightened. But the thick, tall bush in the forest sheltered her. She collapsed and her hands covered her chest tightly, holding back her breath. She was a newcomer to the village. She should not reveal this to anyone else, even if she saw that. Chapter 504. No evidence. She would find herself in trouble if she spilled the beans to anyone. But she overheard their conversation. They were talking about Xiao Dalong's injuries. It was not an accident. Land Officer Ding made this happen just to flatter Widow Sunday. Widow Sun kept cursing the first section of the Xiao family, especially Ms. Fang, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. She cursed at them so fiercely as if they were her worst enemies. Widow Sun kept blaming the land officer for not being able to do this well. She said that he should have ruined Xiao Dalong's legs, rather than leave him any chance to recover. Widow Sun hated them so deeply. She wanted to take revenge upon Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, but she had no chance with one of them being the cultivated talent and the other the daughter of the county magistrate. She did not dare to offend them after all. But she did not want the first section of the family to have a good time. So, she had eyes upon the most down-to-earth man in the family, Xiao Dalong. As long as everything turned messy in the first section of the Xiao family, she would be really pleased. When she heard that Xiao Dalong had been hit on the legs and passed out, and that his legs might get ruined, Widow Sun felt so pleased. But soon the pleasure was gone after one day. Hence she became really furious. Seeing Land Officer Ding, she started to complain. Land Officer Ding had intended to visit her the day before, but she did not open the door. Still, he caught her when she came to the vegetable garden today by pretending as if he were passing by, after seeing that no one was around. Ms. Yen accidentally ran into this conversation. Ms. Yen did not even have the strength to get up until they two left. She wondered what on earth was the grudge between Widow Sun and the first section of the family that she hated them so much. She wondered if she should reveal this secret. If she kept the secret, she would feel very uncomfortable in heart, but if she told the first section of the family about it, she would be doing them a huge favor, which she did not want to waste so easily. She had no evidence. Nor did she want to get involved with this thing. She was a newcomer, and if she was involved, her reputation might be ruined. After thinking for a long while, Ms. Yen finally decided to tell Xiao Xian about it first. She believed that Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were calm people who would know what to do with this matter properly. If she told this to Ms. Fang and Ms. Su, Ms. Yen would not be able to imagine what might happen. Xiao Xian was shocked. Are you sure, second sister-in-law? For real? Widow Sun had never had a good reputation, and Xiao Xian heard some gossip about her too. But Xiao Xian never believed those groundless rumors. Widows were always the topic of gossip for some people. But Widow Sun was over the top. Ms. Yen felt relieved after telling her. She nodded. I am not mistaken. I saw through the cracks. It was them. Xiao Xian, she felt fury arising inside her heart. That is disgusting. Fifth sister-in-law, please calm down. Ms. Yen felt her heart throbbing. Fifth sister-in-law, should you speak with fifth brother about this first? Don't tell eldest aunt right now. She might rush into Widow Sun and the land officers' homes to make a fuss about it. If that happened, things would get worse. Xiao Xian took a deep breath. Second sister-in-law, don't worry. I will talk about this with my husband first, and we will never tell anyone else, including Mom, about it. We have no evidence at the moment after all. Chapter 505. Revenge. Also, I will never mention your name either. Ms. Yen let out a sigh of relief, but felt her legs getting weak. She said gratefully, Thanks, fifth sister-in-law, for your kindness. Xiao Xian smiled. I should thank you for telling me this. Ms. Yen did not have to get involved in this. If she kept this to herself, no one would know about it ever. Ms. Yen smiled. I would feel uneasy in my heart if I kept it to myself. That was true. Xiao Xian asked a few more questions about this, and Ms. Yen gave her as many details as she could. Then she left when there was nothing else to share. The moment she left, Xiao Xian went to Xiao Yunduan. She needed to tell Xiao Yunduan about this as early as possible. Xiao Yunduan got so furious that he struck his hand hard on the table, looking lethal and cold. Xiao Xian's heart throbbed. She shivered. She had never seen Xiao Yunduan getting angry like this. Even on the wedding night when she almost killed herself, he had not been this angry. She tugged Xiao Yunduan's sleeves with some hesitation. Darling, don't be too angry. Elder brother is getting better, right? Anyways, what do you intend to do about it? Xiao Yunduan was not going to let it go so easily. Xiao Xian could tell that from his expressions. Unfortunately, there was no evidence, and the land officer as well as the widow were two special status people, very difficult to deal with. Xiao Yunduan calmed himself down and turned to look at Xiao Xian gently. I have my own thoughts about this. You should pretend as if you never heard about this. Be sure not to tell Mom and elder sister-in-law. He did not want this to spoil her ears. Mom was impulsive and she should not learn about this. The elder sister-in-law was pregnant and she must be kept away from this as well. He should be the one who should take revenge. Seeing Xiao Yunduan's look, Xiao Xian understood that her husband planned to do it in secret. After all, there was no open method that could be used for revenge. But you should be careful not to get involved. He had a promising future and he should not bet on it. If lost, he might lose big. Xiao Yunduan nodded gently. I know my limit. Don't worry. Xiao Xian smiled but again asked in confusion. Do we have any grudge with Widow Sun for her to do something like this? What made her so angry that Widow Sun would combine forces with the land officer to set up her family? Xiao Dalong was the victim this time, what about next time? If she dared to do that once, what would stop her from doing it again? The threat should be removed or they will never have a peaceful life. Xiao Xian did not think that the grudge would have originated from the time when she argued with her along with mother-in-law, a while back. Villagers always had disputes with each other, and they would still talk normally after a few quarrels. They even hung out normally. Nobody became each other's worst enemy. Xiao Yunduan had been studying at the college in the town and was devoted to examinations. He knew nothing. Hearing her question, he got confused too. Xiao Xian said, I can ask Mom or elder sister-in-law about this implicitly. Maybe the elder sister-in-law knows something. Xiao Yunduan thought for a while and nodded in agreement. He was curious too. Don't rush into it. Ask when you have the chance, otherwise they might sense something to be amiss. Xiao Xian chuckled. I know. I am good at it. Land Officer Ding realized that he had been set up and became furious. He wished that he could disappear from there out of shame when everyone was teasing him. He knew that he was done this time. Luckily, his wife and two sons were not here to put out the fire, otherwise he would be so humiliated. Widow Sun was shocked too. She flushed deeply but soon she understood what she should do. She took hold of Land Officer Ding suddenly and glanced at the crowd. I am remarrying Brother Ding as his concubine. We are not doing anything wrong. Chapter 507. Concubine. The land officer was startled but recovered quickly. Yeah, that is true. Then why not share it earlier and instead do it on the sly? But for the fire tonight you would not have said this to us. True. It is a terrible excuse. You think we are all fools? Shame on you. We are not going to have such a shameless land officer here. True. All of those who countered the land officer had the family name of Xiao. Those surnamed Ding understood what was going on, and thus did not help the land officer. Widow Sun did not care. She kept arguing with the others, saying that she was the land officer's concubine. So they were not wrong in their conduct. In the end, when this news was spread to the clan, they both retreated. Land officer quit his position as the land officer, whilst it was time for someone with a family name of Xiao to take over the position. The clan did not go any further with this. Also, from that moment on, Widow Sun became Ding Jiahao. The former land officer's concubine. Widow Sun let out a sigh of relief and gave in. She was just defending herself. It did not depend on her whether she became the concubine. It was not announced so she could not be counted as one no matter what. When Ding Jiahao went out of her house deep at night, it was already a very bad situation. She was very afraid that Ding Jiahao would blame her for this affair, saying that she seduced him when they were caught on the spot. It was a big problem. So she came up with the idea of dragging him down. A concubine was the last choice, but they could at least survive in this way. The land officer had some feelings towards her, and if she could work on him well, she would lead a good life. As for those with a family name of Xiao, they had never liked land officer Ding in the first place since he always favored those surnamed Ding. So they took this chance to push him down. They were in the same village and they could not drive away the entire Ding clan. Hence, they forced him to give up the position of land officer and have someone with the family name of Xiao take it up. In this way the whole thing was over. Also, they promised not to spread the rumor. The Ding families let out a sigh of relief. If the news was spread, not only the land officer himself, but everyone with the family name of Ding would be humiliated. A land officer slept with the wife of a distant cousin. That sounded ridiculous. Although they could not completely stop it from spreading, it was enough when the rumor was limited within a certain range. There was nothing more they could do about it. After all, many people witnessed the scene the other night. Soon, a new land officer was elected from the Xiao families, namely the second grandpa of Xiao, Xiao Dallas' father. He was always just and fair, a highly respected elderly man in the village. So, he made for a very convincing land officer. Xiao Yunduan, who actually overturned the table, was never found out except by Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian guessed that it was her husband who did it. But she needed to verify this after being driven by curiosity. She asked Xiao Yunduan carefully that same night. "You did it, didn't you?" Xiao Yunduan laughed, seeing her careful look. He turned to her and nodded with a look of profoundness. "Yeah." Qiao Xian felt satisfied and smiled. "Well done. Thanks for your help, darling." Xiao Yunduan smiled. "This is what I should do." And, he added, "If anyone gives you a hard time, I will defend you and take revenge for you as well." Chapter 508. A huge trap. Xiao Xian was startled and then felt warmed by his words. She chuckled and nodded. She suddenly thought that he could be a scholar who would be imposing and brimming with unique ideas. On the other hand, it was a very lively scene at Ding Jihea's home. Since Widow Sun became Ding Jihea's concubine, she was not allowed to live outside with Ding Qingqing, her daughter. Widow Sun tried to keep things the way they were, saying that she and her daughter could live in their old house. But Ding Jihea's wife, Miss Chiu, did not want this to happen. She wondered when this bitch seduced her husband and forced herself to become his concubine, costing her husband's position as land officer, and causing her to be laughed at by the whole village. So, she was not going to let this bitch do whatever she wanted. Miss Chiu said, "You are my husband's concubine, so you have to move in with us in case someone spreads a rumor about you being mistreated. We can't afford to have our reputation ruined, and you can't let others talk, right?" When this was said, Ding Jiahao started to hesitate, even though Widow Sun had whispered so many things into his ears. If she lived alone outside, she might hook up with someone else, and that would be a huge humiliation for him. Widow Sun had to bite the bullet, and she moved into Ding Jihea's home, after being stared at by the whole Ding family. Miss Chiu took her 2 sons and 2 daughter-in-laws to help her move, and they scraped away every worthy penny from her. Widow Sun wanted to make a fuss about it, but Miss Chiu sneered. "You are just a concubine and you have no rights to counter me. Are you trying to set up rules for yourself? You are under my charge and everything of yours is mine." Miss Chiu's son and daughter-in-law had terrible expressions on their faces. Widow Sun felt so annoyed but did not dare to counter her. She was Ding Jihea's concubine, and Miss Chiu could do whatever she wanted with her, like how mother-in-law did. Her mother-in-law would try to keep the reputation when dealing with her daughter-in-law, but when the wife was dealing with a concubine, she could even get her killed. Widow Sun felt so miserable. Only now did she realize what her clever trick had cost her. A big trap it was. But if she did not jump into the trap, she might have been ruined by Ding Jiahao. They had hooked up because both of them felt like it, and they were in deep love when they had no conflict of interest. But when their interests clashed, they would understand exactly what they ought to do individually. Unfortunately, she had no other choice. She also knew that Miss Chiu was angry, and that her sons and daughters-in-law must hate her. So, Widow Sun had no choice but to tolerate Miss Chiu's torment. Chapter 509. Scary. Everyone was watching Ding Jihea's family and the show between Widow Sun and Miss Chiu, which was spread across the whole village and had become a good pastime between teas and meals. Yang Xiaoni was always out to hear gossip, so the first section of the family learned about the matter as well. Qiao Xian felt so happy to hear about the bad experience of Widow Sunday. She deserved to be punished by someone like Miss Chiu. As for how it was for Ding Qingqing, well, she was suffering because of what her mother did and no one was going to offer any help. So, one should be moral and have conscience. Otherwise the punishment would come on either her or her children, and nobody would feel sorry for that. Ms. Yan was almost sure that what happened between Widow Sun and Ding Jiahao might have something to do with Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. But she did not dare ask a thing. She subconsciously started to respect and feel scared of Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. That was a scary couple. She made up her mind never to offend them or the first section of the family. Her in-laws did not get punished by Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian because they were relatives, who were just kicked away or ignored by the couple whenever they made a fuss with the family. If they really wanted to teach them a lesson, they would surely not have a good ending. Ms. Yen felt very nervous about the disputes that her in-laws kept creating with the first section of the family. Ms. Yen suddenly lost interest in getting angry when Ms. Zhang kept causing trouble. If Ms. Zhang did not stop, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian would teach her a good lesson sooner or later. But would Ms. Zhang know that she should stop someday? That seemed nearly impossible. So what she needed to do was to watch and learn. When mushrooms, wooden ears and snow fungus were dried, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian picked a day to visit the province. The mushrooms were ready to be sold to Yuezhing Xiao, as they had promised earlier. After this they would buy some laborers and get ready for the spring plow. There was enough work headed their way, including seedlings, making rakes, planting corn, taro, soybeans, planting vegetables, cleaning bamboo mountains. Once the spring warmed up, the farmers tended to get very busy. Around that time the tea saplings will grow taller and it would be time to transplant them. The flowers in the flower field were about to bloom, and needed to be made into lipsticks. Xiao Xian and everyone else would get much busier than before. Once they returned from the province, peach and apricot flowers should die in bloom. There were not many, but they would also be enough to make some lipsticks. After that, roses and Chinese roses and pomegranate flowers would follow, keeping them busy for half a year. Ms. Su was pregnant, so she could only be of a little help, whilst Xiao Dalong needed to recoup his injury. Xiao Yunduan was focusing on his studies, which reduced the number of people contributing to the tasks by a large degree. As a result, they had to buy some helpers. This time when they came to the province, they didn't stay at the hostel, but headed directly to the Yuezhing family. The doctor whom Xiao Yunduan had hired was living in the Yuezhing mansion. Old Master and First Madam moved back to the mansion during the Chinese New Year, and a capable person like First Madam had already taken over the affairs in the mansion whilst Old Master focused on the business. It all worked out well. Ms. Mi Jr. was so annoyed that she almost passed out. She tried to cause some trouble but got pushed away by First Madam, failing to do anything else. First Madam treated Xiao Xian as their savior, so she would be really hurt if Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan did not come to live in the mansion when they were in province. Days got longer after the New Year, and when Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan came to the Yuezhing family, it was still bright outside. Chapter 510. Visit in Province. The housekeeper recognized Xiao Yunduan immediately, and when he saw both of them coming, he invited them in passionately. He rushed to inform the First Madam and Old Master as well as the third young master of their arrival. Although he had no idea what the relationship between young Master Xiao and Old Master was, he knew that Old Master and First Madam considered them as very important figures. Xiao Yunduan had mentioned on the day when he came over to ask for the doctor that he would come and visit them soon. So their arrival was not very sudden. Yuezhing Xiao came to greet them personally and they laughed and talked happily. Xiao Xian had carried mushrooms, wooden ears and snow fungus with them. Yuezhing Xiao asked his men to carry them all into his yard and started to check them out. Yuezhing Xiao's eyes sparkled when he saw what was in front of him. He patted Xiao Yunduan's shoulders. "Brother Xiao, these are wonderful snow fungus. And these mushrooms, wooden ears are all in great form. Oh my, your village is great and it has everything." Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Xian chuckled. Yuezhing Xiao asked about the weight of those things and informed them about the market price. Then he bought them all with a price twice more than that in the market. The first-class dried snow fungus weighed 36 liang for half a kilo, and sun-dried mushrooms and wooden ears were priced at 101 and 61 for half a kilo respectively. This amounted to more than 700 liang in total. Xiao Xian had not expected that the snow fungus and mushrooms, as well as wooden ears, would have different pricing when she started to plant them. She had thought that they would simply be measured by weight. She was planning to plant enoki mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, straw mushrooms, and tea tree mushrooms in the future. It seemed that all kinds of mushrooms could be sold for money. Then she learned that snow fungus was not easily planted, and the price was very high. In comparison, the other mushrooms were much cheaper. But they had already planted mushrooms and wooden ears, so she would reduce the amount and plant more snow fungus next time. She was going to start by having a few mu of snow fungus at the Jianghu village in the near future. Then she was going to expand the scale slowly. She would have to add a few more categories of mushrooms. All of them could earn money, which was what mattered above all. Soon Yuezhing Xiao dealt with the things they had got and took them to the guest room. "You can stay here for a few more days. The weather is getting warmer. There are many beautiful sights outside the city to visit. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged a look and said with a smile, "Let's see. We will be here before the autumn examination. Please don't think we are annoying by that time, brother Yuezhing." Yuezhing Xiao patted his head and chuckled. "I almost forgot about that. Do remember to come early at that time." After exchanging a few more words, Yuezhing Xiao waited for Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan to put away their stuff, and came to greet Old Master and First Madam together. Yuezhing Xiao's elder brother Yuezhing Hong was at home too. Yuezhing Hong and his wife were heading towards their parents to meet Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. The first section of the Yuezhing family were all so thankful towards Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. But for Xiao Xian they would still be in a very bad situation. First Madam liked Xiao Xian very much. She treated her as her daughter, which she did not have. It was getting very late, so they did not visit Madame Yuezhing. But they sent a messenger to tell Madame Yuezhing that they had guests. Learning that it was a poor couple visiting, Ms. Mi Jr. felt annoyed and remained indifferent. Chapter 511. A Lovely Treatment. Mi Jr. sneered and told her maid that the first section of the family always hung out with filthy, lowly people. A cultivated talent was not that great or worthy enough to spend so many efforts on. The first section of the family arranged a nice, simple treatment for Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan in the main hall. It was a lovely evening. Hearing that Xiao Xian was here to buy laborers, First Madam said that she could help. She would go along so that the agencies don't cheat them. That was exactly what Xiao Xian hoped to ask her for. She thanked her gratefully. Agencies were always very tricky. They had all kinds of ideas going on in their minds. An agency would probably sell them bad quality people, seeing that Xiao Xian was not a local resident and the laborers could not be refunded once purchased. With First Madam keeping her company, things would be different. No agency would dare lie to the First Madam of the Yuezhing family. Early next morning, First Madam was about to take Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian to greet Madame Yuezhing, but Madame Yuezhing turned her down. The meeting was cancelled. First Madam asked the maid, "Did second Mrs. Yuezhing visit Madame Yuezhing this morning?" The maid nodded without concealing a thing. First Madam snorted and understood what was going on. This sister-in-law of hers spared no efforts to give her trouble. Never mind, she didn't care. They could treat their own guests well enough. First Madam sent her men to pass on messages to the agencies she was familiar with, setting up an appointment that they were going to buy good laborers. She took Xiao Xian around during the next 2 days. As for Xiao Yunduan, he was hanging out with Yuezhing Xiao and Xiejingrong. The three of them headed elsewhere. At this time, the plum blossoms in the Fuyu Temple outside the city were in full bloom. It was a good time to appreciate plum blossoms. First Madam said to Xiao Xian with a smile, "The plum blossoms in Fuyu Temple are a must-see sight in the province. You guys came here just in time. It would be a pity if you didn't go and see them. Especially those green plums, they are the most authentic. There is the oldest green plum tree in the plum grove, which is said to be hundreds of years old. It is said that it is the mother of all green plums in the world. All the green plums in other places are born from this plant." Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled and she asked with a smile, "Is that true? Then it must be a very precious plant." She loved precious plants. First Madam didn't know the inside story, but she could see that Xiao Xian was very happy to hear this. When Xiao Xian was happy, it meant that she had done a good job as the host, so she was also glad. She nodded with a smile. "That's naturally precious, it's a treasure in the temple. Let's go today, it's the perfect time. We can just buy a few sticks of incense and come back after having a fasting meal in the temple. The temple food in Fuyu Temple is a must-have, and the scenery in the temple is also good. It is worth the trip." Xiao Xian was looking forward to it already. First Madam arranged the wagon and they went out together. The plums were blooming and it was very lively inside the temple. There were 2 patches of plum trees in the temple. There was a large area of plum forests without any marked boundary in the back mountain, which was open to all pilgrims, and everyone could go to enjoy the flowers. There were all kinds of red, white, pink and green plums and they were in full bloom. They were beautiful and very lively. There was another more exquisite plum garden, which was spread across 10 mu. It was built around the rare green plum that had been around for hundreds of years. This place was far more exquisite, whether it was the shape of the tree, the color of the tree or the matching scenery. It contained various different pavilions. But it was not open to the public. Only people with considerable status, or those who had donated a large sum of incense money to the temple were eligible to go inside. Chapter 5:12. Ancient Green Plum. Some scholars were also allowed in who gathered there to brew tea, make poetry and do paintings. The place where the first madam took Xianxia to was this small plum garden. The large patch of plum is more lively, located in the back mountains. Let's walk around here and then head to the back mountain. Xianxia nodded with a smile. The plum garden was in a very beautiful location. The trees were full of flowers and branches were full of plum blossoms. The clouds were misty and seemed to have descended to earth, which created a wonderful scene. First Madam had not appreciated flowers for years. This year also she had almost missed the chance to see the plums. So when she saw the scene she became very emotional at this time. But for Xianxia, who healed her husband, she would not have the time to visit this place full of beautiful flowers in her entire life. As she thought about this, she threw an even more gentle look at Xianxia. First Madam led Xianxia to look at the flowers as they headed towards the ancient green plum tree. When the tree appeared in front of her eyes, Xianxia's eyes turned bright. She felt that the whole scene turned so clear. So, the space wanted it as well. The ancient green plum was very thick, and the dark branches were vigorous and simple, revealing the vicissitudes of time. But the tree was full of vitality and blooming flowers. They could smell the wonderful scent even from far away. The plum blossom stamens were really dark, and the color gradually became lighter when it spread outwards. When it reached the end of the petals, it turned very pale. It almost looked white from a distance. But when you looked closely, you could see a faint trace of greenery. There was not only this green plum in this garden. All the way here, Xianxia had seen many green plums. But they were not as beautiful, elegant and noble as the one in front of her. Also the flowers were not so pure or crystal clear. She understood the matter in her heart. No wonder it was said to be a mother tree. It was naturally different from the others. Whether it was grafted or bred, the green plum next to it had not completely copied and inherited the beautiful color of the mother tree. No wonder her space had this strong reaction towards this very green plum. This is the ancient green plum tree? How beautiful. Xianxia approached it looking excited. First Madam smiled. Yeah. Everyone loves it. The plum tree was very big. First Madam and her servant were also admiring the plum blossoms. Xianxia turned her back to her a little further away, gently raised her hand to stroke the flower branch, and with a little force, quickly snapped off a 2-inch long flower branch. She quickly put the flower branch into the space. She felt slightly apologetic. She raised her hands and put her hand on the branch, silently putting the superpower into the ancient green plums so as to inject her magical energy into it. She said quietly, "I will give you magical energy after taking one branch from you. We are even now." She could have never got a branch of the green plum tree, which was regarded as a treasure by Fuyu Temple, if she asked for it from the monks. So she had to deal with the ancient green plum directly. With the green plum in hand, Xianxia was in a good mood and walked around with First Madam. They went to a few other places in the temple and it was lunchtime. Every table in Fuyu Temple's vegetarian restaurant had 12 dishes and 1 soup. They entered the private room, and the vegetarian dishes served in white porcelain bowls were quickly served. Each dish seemed great and had a beautiful name, looking delicious. You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.